What's up, everybody? It's me, Johnny G, and welcome back to another episode of Arknights. And in today's episode, we're going to finish up the Path of Life event. And we're pretty close to the end as it is. We've got BP-7, 8, 9, and the epilogue story piece afterwards. So 3 sages and story bit after. And so far, I've really enjoyed this story. It's interesting. I'm enjoying everything to do with the Seaborn and the Abyssal Hunters and stuff like that. And seeing Aegir and learning more about Aegir as well is pretty cool. But there's a lot of things that I've kind of been able to understand with my limited knowledge of this area, these people, these characters, and things like that. And I know that there's events and things like Saltifer Naphies and Granny the Knight's Treasure and things that have these characters in them that came before that would help to understand some of the different things that are going on here. But we'll get to recording those and doing those in the future, of course, as we can, so that we can experience all this with you guys. But for now, we're going to jump in, we're going to finish this up, and see what happens with our Abyssal Hunters, with Ulpianus, with Aegir, and where this takes cooperation with Rhodes Island. So, let's see what happens to the Seaborn now. Let's jump right in. All right. I already did some farming and stuff today, so I pretty much cleared everything that I really wanted and needed out of here. I was going to collect some of these last couple of things, which, like there, I have 74 of those. I've got 4 of those. I've got 10 of those. I got 4, and I have 5 of those. So I have a good bit of those kind of things. I don't really need them. Got this stuff that I wanted. Maybe if anything, I'd get the LMD, but that's about all I need. I'm not too concerned with having a lot of that kind of stuff, so it is what it is. Let's go in and continue. BP-7. There are always chimes like little bells resounding from the dome, the result of countless tentacle-shaped biomonitors analyzing the most minute changes in the ocean current. Occasional dull roars echo faintly from the port as warships coming to and from the harbor gracefully displace vast amounts of seawater, like gigantic fins. Goods, flying through aerial optic cables in squeezed state to every household, emit a near-subsonic buzzing. These myriad noises, varied yet not chaotic, have become the ambience of Milliarium, long since faded into the background for its 10,000 or so residents. But now, all those residents stop in their places. They wonder if their ears are deceiving them. Ooh, that was a song from Saltifer Naphies. I know that from the soundtrack from listening to it. At first, it was like a wisp of wind sweeping across an angular reef. Then, like a newborn who tentatively poked its head out of the warm womb. And after that, a colony, a nest, an entire region of sea. Yeah, I listen to the soundtrack in my car all the time, so I recognize this from that, at least like the cover art matching it, so. The thick, bizarre sound of blooming of life could be heard clearly. The children of the sea now give back to the ocean. They give civilization a kiss, and civilization is now filled to the brim with life. Look! The usual tower looming over the city center is gone, replaced by an enormous stone column, the type seen only in karst caves in the sea. Layer upon layer of fine, porous, slimy, and smooth seaborne tissue encircle the walls of the beacon tower. Yet light from the equipment within still permeates, casting an ethereally enchanting glow over its surroundings. Microbial colonies float down from the column, blossoming into oddly shaped life forms. If it weren't for the statues I could just barely make out, I'd have thought these were untouched wilds. Nest conversion. Why would there be Seaborn in the city? I know we haven't. Doesn't matter if we did or not, as long as the results are as expected. I just hope it's a lesson those ever-sinking Aegir will never forget. What do we do now? We keep it growing and stop the city from pushing it back. Was murdering Tullia not enough? Do you need to destroy the entire city to sate your appetite for chaos? At first I was planning to tail you back to your allies and save myself some effort. Let's go. But since it's an emergency, I'll have to haul my net in now. You will be the 33rd and 34th Church of the Deep's cultists caught by the Sea Patrol this month. The Sea Patrol. The Sea Patrol. You've harmed a lot of our brothers and sisters lately. Clinging to the current order will do you no good. What Aegir needs isn't a struggle for its life and despair, it's... And they're done. Shut up. I'm not here to debate. Oh my god. Oh, wow, that's kind of hot. Anyways. Perfecta Secunda. An unusual concentration of biosignatures has been detected. They've tripled in number in a short time. It seems the Seaborn have fully converted the tower into their nest and are now steadily producing more of themselves. We cannot allow them to spread to the other city units. The nearby civilians have already started evacuating by themselves. Take a squad to guide them into the emergency shelters. Remember to clear the roads of all support machines. If the Seaborn contaminate them, they could be used as weapons against us. The rest of you, get information and deploy barriers. Keep the Seaborn within the perimeter of the beacon tower. Yes, ma'am. I was sure the Class 4 weapons had already been activated. Don't tell me. I'm listening. Lock down all Class 4 weapons immediately. I want a thorough inspection of the entire system as soon as possible. All troops who have fallen back, regroup at the port immediately. From now on, all combatants are to remain on standby on the channel. This isn't quite what you described. Look at this real-time nautical chart. Just an hour ago, Seaborn biosignatures were generally stable. But now, every nest on the continental shelf is getting closer and closer to each other. No, it's not that the nests are moving. They're expanding endlessly, like countless drops of ink spreading across a sheet of paper. This entire stretch of sea is turning into a nest. The scattered nests are linking together as one, with Milliarium in the middle. Did Aegir really bring weapons to disperse them, Madam Consul, or a mass of catalysts? Are you annihilating them or feeding them? If Blandus tampered with the link between the beacons and the weapons, it must have been him who altered their effect as well. And as a result, Aegir's hopes of landfall have been exploited. As the Waterway Program's chief designer of warfare, I will take full responsibility for this, but we haven't lost the battle quite yet. Look outside. Not a hint of disturbance on the streets. Milliarium is not yet sunk into panic. We've struggled against the Seaborn for more than 200 years. We've experienced countless incidents like this. It's far too early to declare Milliarium lost to the enemy. Dr. Calcit, Doctor, you must leave the city at once. I'll escort you to the port. I'd assumed a consul would need to remain at her post. As things stand, the port is the heart of the city, a key military installation we cannot afford to lose. The Seaborn have already invaded my city. You think I'll wait for our uninvited guests to knock on Pensivarium's door? The air's getting more humid the further we go. I could barely breathe. Watch your step. Use your device to float over. Don't step on that. Another Seabrand. Indeed. Yet another means for the Seaborn to extend their reach. They've already spread from the top of the tower to here, much faster than you'd see on land. The Seaborn are nesting in the city! Above our very heads. You said there was someone directing them. Why? How? This is the work of that dead man, Blandus. He spent the last 5 years on this. According to his farcical plans, the signals emitted by this tower would, along with the weapons we brought, become a bridge connecting humanity and the Seaborn. He has indeed built a bridge of sorts, but the Seaborn have not yet reciprocated his ambitious goodwill. Our connection has only served to alert the beasts to Milliarium's position, and given them an understanding of our defense mechanisms. The legions had taken great plans to divide this stretch of sea into manageable regions, but with the nests now converging on this signal, they are whole once more. The Class 4 weapons that should have destroyed the nests and repelled the Seaborn have done the exact opposite. Seaborn tissues grow along their firing paths. What should have withered was instead nourished. Humph. Even until death, he never realized his own arrogance. Senor Ulpianus, I don't quite understand what you're saying, but right now, the Seaborn already consider this tower a new nest. It will steadily spawn and attract more from other nests to gather here. Can we reverse the change? It's too late. We have only one option. Eject the city unit until the beacon tower stands on. unit the beacon tower stands on. Eject? But underwater cities aren't built in blocks. How could you... There's still much you do not understand about Aegir. Unlike the nomadic cities on the land, pieced together from cumbersome plates, Aegir technology focuses on the biological, especially when it comes to city construction. Biting off a poisoned limb is an instinctual reaction in a sea beast. Nothing difficult. We must keep the remainder of the city, for it still has use. Otherwise, the Seaborn in the area will eventually unite into one, and no one would ever be able to stop them. They'll come ashore without a hint of resistance. They'll land in Iberia. What do we have to do exactly? A massive yet precise framework supports each city unit in Milliarium. The operation system controlling the linkage of the tower's unit should be in this control center. Once activated, it will send the entire tower into the depths. Is this it? I can operate it, but there's no response. It doesn't seem like there's any issue with the system, so it must be the linkage itself. The Institute of Facility Management has specialists dedicated to the maintenance of the framework. It is less likely to malfunction than a hunter's weapon is to rust. And yet here we are, precisely at a time like this. Reading error occurred. Run fault diagnostics? Do you need my help, Mr. Ephesus? Oh no, I was merely observing this abandoned little handy. Could he know something about this? I might know who to look for. Contact the Aegir soldiers outside. They'll help you exit this place. Are you going to stay here? Alone? You still have doubts about me, young one. Good. Someone needs to stay in this control center. Once the tower completes its conversion, Milliarium will be unable to eject it, even if we manage to repair the linkage. A sea beast cannot spit out its heart when the heart is no longer its own. I must remain to confirm that the framework has resumed operation, then eject the tower myself. But if you do that, you'll sink along with it, into the hordes of Seaborn. You don't need to worry about that. Or do you mean to say you'd be more suited for that duty? You don't have much time, young one. You have already... Isn't this the frequency of the beacon tower? Secunda, Sea Patrol, who's inside the tower? And what about Blandis? He's dead. The two of us were in contact, but I never noticed anything unusual. I should submit myself to the Consul for discipline once this is settled. Milliarium must abandon the tower. I must see it sink into the abyss with my own eyes. And after that? Will you return to Aegir? Can you return to Aegir? I told you not to ask pointless questions, Secunda. You should not allow the past to render you indecisive. You're overthinking things. Blandis told me what happened back then. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter which of you rejected my application. Though I'm willing to admit that I regret not becoming a hunter and fighting alongside you all. Deeply. I'll admit that I felt anger and resentment for a long time. I even envied Skadi. But eventually, I became accustomed to patrol work. For your sake, for the sake of the project keeping you home. Our civilization safe, keeping our home. Staying outside of a specific project will allow you to see more sacrifices, more betrayals, more untrustworthy people, more things deviating from their paths. Like you right now? Have you thought through what you should bear? If you truly did betray Aegir, if you really are associated with that scum, then you're in that tower now to plan your escape. I'd bear the guilt of allowing a fallen Aegir to flee. If you're still a hunter, then you'll be fighting alone. However, it's already impossible to wipe your slate clean after infiltrating the city, breaking into the tower, not to mention the outcome of the tribunal. Aegir may not remember your sacrifice, just like Altulia will inevitably be forgotten. But I agree, ejecting the tower is the most effective way to help Milliarium respond to this disaster. I approve of your choice. I'll afford you some limited amount of trust. Very well. You have 5 minutes. After that, I'll come rescue that land dweller in the tower. The entire city is following the Emergency Transportation Coordination Plan. We'll enter the axial channel via the Southern Theatre and leave for the port. I'll remain here to direct operations while the Sea Patrol takes command of this ship and sees you to dry land. The drone matrix will also head to the lighthouse and assist Iberia in mounting a defense. Should the city not organize an evacuation of its citizens as well? Milliarium is a military fortress. It is able to accommodate its citizens during battle. All civilians have already been escorted to shelter by the Sea Patrol. Those neural cables by your hand. Should they be twitching like that? No. With communications down, my connection to the ship's operation system has also been cut off. I'm losing control. Little Handy, run diagnostics on the entire ship. The system's breach is more serious than I expected. We might not have enough time to land. I'm sorry. At least the city's artificial gravity is still functional. The devices you have will help you move freely through the air. Now follow me. No need to be scared. All you have to do is walk out the door. Okay, then. Pumps are still down. Looks like someone managed to cut off the entire Southern Theatre from the outside. Monster! Vigilant screech. Monster spreads its ebon talons as a wave of heat washes over you. At nearly the same time, the consul draws her ceremonial sword and steps to the side to cover you and Calcit. You take a good look at the enemy before you. Dude, stop making poopy sounds in my ear. You're gross. Ew. Okay, so this is the boss in BP-8. An unusually shaped Seaborn bars your way. It seems to lack hostility before Monster's roar startled it. It simply stood there quietly, its featureless face illuminated by the coral-shaped terminal in the middle of the Southern Theatre. The granular organelles surrounding its body spread out like arms, stroking the branches of the terminal and fusing with the flowing characters and symbols on it. Was it observing? Sensing? Can it even comprehend human perception and reasoning? It turns towards you. Seaborn, is that the one that breached the terminal? This is unprecedented, and not a good sign. Garbled Aegirian, there is no justice here, only the path ahead. A Seaborn trespassing in an Aegirian city, reciting an ancient proverb in a sanctum designed by sages past. This might be the most ironic scene I've witnessed since I joined this war. Uncouth, even for a provocation. Its use of language and its manner of speaking are all unlike the usual outcome of Seaborn's forced learning. I fear this Seaborn was once human, Madam Consul. Language. Never have I forgotten it. Never has it abandoned me. What about your thoughts? Do you actually comprehend yourself when you clumsily mimic the sayings of the wise? Comprehend? No, I did not understand their true meaning, even as I left them for posterity. Now I have a new understanding. Left for posterity? Martis? You're Martis? A key member of the 4th Observation Team of the Mantle Ruins, the scholar of anthropology and prehistoric civilization who went missing more than 2 centuries ago? That Martis? In my most distant memories, I was once known by that name. But now you need to only be cognizant of my appearance. You see before you a Seaborn. Call me as such. Seaborn. The Seaborn floats towards you. Through its transparent skull, you see strangely colored orbs gather and disperse steadily, changing their formation. Aegir, allow me to converse with the one behind you. Angry howl. Glub, tell your little friend to stow its fangs. Its flames cannot burn my blood. AMA-10. Who are you? Why did you call Calcit that? Stay vigilant, Doctor. I'll speak with it. Calcit. Calcit. I see now. If you are accustomed to that name, I can call you by that. I have waited for you, Calcit, for the two of you for a very long time. So he knew Calcit previous. AMA-10. That's interesting. Alrighty, here we go.
Let's go. Anything outside the plan, I'll judge for myself.
Okay.
You saw nothing. Moving to designated location. Follow me! Apple pie!
Ready to move. Let's put an end to this show. Pronto.
Pass on your last words? No. Please, trust in me. Moving to designated location.
Thus, I speak.
Yeah, see, this thing just walks right through, and I don't like that because it sucks. But it's gone now, so that's all right.
Spring breeze, timely rain. Now we sow the grain.
Ready to move. Valiant struggle. But you won't get away.
I wasn't supposed to ask. Clear skies for Qingyin, rain clouds for Guyu. You saw nothing.
The Revenant's battle. Now, wait in line.
Crap, we have two of them
Ready
now.
for everyone.
Solid positioning.
Arrived at designated position.
Oh
We'll be sleeping with the Phoenix in no time.
What's the situation?
Also, activate monster.
This will keep you quiet.
Alright, this will crush some of them. Where are we going here?
So you racked your brain. Now, wait in line. We got
Clear skies for Qingyin, rain clouds for Guyu.
Thus, I speak.
This will keep you quiet.
What's the situation? Await.
I hear the elegy.
careful.
You'll be sleeping a valiant struggle, but you won't get away.
Now, wait in line. We got plenty for everyone.
Let's begin.
Okay.
Professor, temperature stable.
Awaiting orders.
You can't stop me.
Clear skies for Qingyin.
Got it.
Rain clouds
We
for
got it.
Guyu.
Let's go. That one's a little tough because of those things, those other ones, because they just eat through the carapaces like real quick and destroy that. So that sets you back. I can't stand that because that makes it tougher for you to have your casters out and or your ranged in general. And you guys see how I always have sniper caster heavy, team. So, well, caster heavy, I should say. But anyways. Long have you walked the land, Calcit. The changes in the sky would not have escaped your attention. The Seaborn raises its head slightly, gazing up with its non-existent eyes, perhaps a habit from the time it still had them. Above the dome, beyond the infinite water, something in the distance seems to have caught its attention. Tell me, how long will it take for the hole to close again? I see. Aegir was right. The Seaborn had a clear reason for leaving the ocean and invading the land. You came because you noticed the change in the barrier. I have seen through the eyes of we many who have ventured to land. There is a ripple in the sky. The immutable veil has been torn open. Your survival instinct have driven you to monitor every change in the environment, but the dangers they signify. Dangers, yes. You are indeed sharp, Calcit. Your program runs smoothly. Our communication will be effective. The calamity that hangs above Terra, the eye that gazes upon us, does it see the abnormality of the sky, or has it already? You understand Terra, Calcit, and the crisis it faces. You must, help we many understand, help we many evolve. Am I hearing this correctly, Calcit? I sincerely hope this is the Seaborn's wishful thinking, rather than some kind of consensus you have, Dr. Calcit. Let it finish, Madam Consul. The last chance is fleeting. The oceans of Terra are too small. Knowledge, nourishment, space. We many must grow. We many require help. You're not just trying to go on land. Growing wings is not difficult, but insufficient. Going beyond the skies requires a revolution in the species' fundamental nature. You have the knowledge, Calcit. You help we many understand, and we overcome calamity. Whatever their origin, the Seaborn are non-sapient creatures driven by instinct, ones that the Church fanatics have placed their unreasonable expectations on. But you know far more than either of those two groups possibly could. How? We are the same, Calcit. You and we many have the same duty. Perhaps I should reframe that question. How did the Seaborn evolve into what they are today? What do you have to do with Cyril Arbor going out of control? Ah, that's right. Is the answer important to you? I can speak of my own history, if it helps you understand my intention. We've waited 2 centuries for these answers. What really happened in that failed expedition? What turned you into what you are now? Failed? No, it was a success beyond our wildest dreams. It's so weird how its face changes. We penetrated the deepest layer of the mantle for the first time. The predecessors carved open the rock and built massive, maze-like complexes reaching into the lower mantle. We'd never gone further than them, even after thousands of years of excavating. The mantle ruins, the genesis of Aegir civilization. We thought we'd find more relics, more secrets, more answers there. But all we had hoped for did not exist. All that was buried in those depths was a spark of hope. Go on. I was separated from my team along the way. I was the only one to make it to the end of the path. There, I saw. A giant. Some massive thing sleeping in the shadow of the cerulean tree. I did not see his entirety. A small part of his limb was enough to fill my entire vision. The limb was touching the transparent wall of a sealed chamber. Perhaps he was waiting for contact, or perhaps, before I realized it, I was standing before him and reaching out. The wall of the chamber was cold, but I could feel his warmth. Then, visions surged towards me from every direction, inundating me. A Farenmoot shared its vision with you. What did you see? Fallen cities under an oppressively hanging dome, the land aflame, the stargate extinguished, the star ring broken, the road network shattered, the destruction of prehistoric civilization. Yes, Aegir never discovered the reason for its destruction, but I saw a vision of it before my eyes. Yes, it was not the end. Visions continued to flow. Visions far beyond my limited comprehension. Eternally dispersing particles and oceans of sand that never ripple. Cold, lightless plains, and darkness without end. Burnout stars and never-expanding black holes. Nothing there was familiar. I lost my senses, all of them, and even the Farenmoot that shared a vision with me could not sense his own existence. It was an entirely alien place without life, meaning, or information. The Seaborn's words stop. Through its transparent skull, you can see the strangely colored nuclei gather it, then disperse. It seems to be thinking, and the nuclei represent the process of its thoughts. But you, Calcit, understand the meaning of those images. A crisis destroyed everything. It cannot be visualized. There is no word in our language to describe it. It was the end of prehistoric civilization, and the calamity that Terra must face. It is the end of all things. The horrifying images left me as I pulled my hand back, replaced by another image, one that was broken, blurred, chaotic. He and his children shall devour all that is living, and consume the moons and the stars. All that is living and dead shall nourish him. and he shall murmur at the end of time. Survive. Over and over. Survive. Chaotic. Murmur. Was the Farenmut asleep? He was trapped within a dream. The dream stagnated. Evolution stagnated. Duty stagnated. He was trapped in the cerulean cave. Therefore, I must awaken him. Oh, hell no, buddy. That thing sounds disturbing and disgusting, and I don't want him woken up. He can stay sleepy poo. Cassia! Magister Avitus. Did you and your comrades go into hiding in order to destroy the city from within? Waiting for the Sea Patrol's guard when the Sea Patrol's guard was at its weakest. You should be evacuating, Magister. The Sea Patrol has noticed, Cassia. They're investigating you. You're showing this much concern for me because that tiny embryo I left in the incubator reminded you of the past. Am I right? I'm just curious. Do you regret your decision? Now is not the time for this. The Seaborn have invaded Milliarium. Stop what you're doing, or the city will be lost. Isn't it a little late for that? Why did you choose to betray Aegir? I told you. The Seaborn have revealed the weakness of Aegir's very foundation. Before people can regain the will to live, the collapse of their values will have crushed them already. Once you were a great scholar, but what are you doing in this city now? You found out about me a long time ago, didn't you? You had many chances to stop things from getting to this point. You could have reported me to the Sea Patrol at any time. But you did nothing. You sat and waited, watching everything happen like a blind fin spinning in a whirlpool. Did you come to Milliarium just to witness the destruction? Excuse me. And validate your own despair? I'm not. I can still stop you. As long as life remains tied to any value system, it is doomed to eventually collapse. Life itself should be reason enough to live. We must rekindle our most basic survival instincts and force the people to reassess the values they once held in such high regard. Only by doing so can they be saved from despair, from becoming like you. Like me? Watch out! Cries and buzzes excitedly. Cassia got away. The linkage here was sabotaged. No wonder it didn't work from the control room. Leave this to me, ma'am. The Seaborn are approaching. My mentor at the Inquisition taught me some arts, although my talents are nothing to write home about. That woman worked at the Institute of Facility Management. She'd know how to sabotage the city unit framework. I appreciate your courage, Geordie. I'll call in people to get this area under control. As for Cassia, she's mine. Rapidly flaps fins. Whoa, already? Are you going to keep lying there, Mr. Avitus? His student had vanished. Avitus gazes upon the young man who suddenly appeared before him. The fear in Geordie's eyes is obvious, but he lights his lantern with a trembling hand. Geordie, I heard your conversation. You're not an evil man, but I'm disappointed in you. Very disappointed. Did you come here with this city because you believed it wouldn't make it back? What are you hoping for? Death? You should have returned to land sooner, Geordie. Look around us. The Seaborn will soon overcome the barrier between the city's units. It will all come to an end, just like... You never answer my questions properly. I may end up leaving Aegir and leaving behind all my hopes and longings, but it won't be because it's about to be destroyed. I've read The Death of Life, you know, but it didn't answer any of my questions. Let's say all your predictions come true, and that at some point in the future, we'll have no choice but to watch our homes come to the end it depicts, just like that man in the book. But does the destruction of a civilization really weigh more than that of a city, a family, or a person here and now? I don't understand. I just don't. I wasn't sure if I should say this, but you said your loved one gave up on the idea of raising a child and died in disappointment. But was she disappointed in the future of Aegir? Or in you? The young Aegir musters all his strength. The lantern shakes violently, and the flickering light repels the Seaborn. He gasps for air. Sweat rolls down his cheeks. Avitus can see his arm tremble. But if anything, it is himself who cuts a sorrier figure. Look out! You have smeared your bodies on the outer wall, infiltrating through the trail of weapon fire before reshaping. What a convenient form of life, Seaborn. Joyfully convulses its gelatinous body. Excitedly sways fine tentacles. You hear. Nest we seen. From nest you leave in comprehension. Ulpianus, kin, you hear, wait, us. Ulpianus, no confusion? That's so weird. Pain convulsions. Need pain. Individual death eternal. The many survival eternal. Ulpianus, I lead you. New individual born for you, help you extend me. Gladiia. Ulpianus. There's no expression on Gladia's face. She holds her lance sideways, its point touching the floor. An almost imperceptible posture, enough to mitigate the fatigue that continues to rush up from within her, and to support her as she stands before her long-absent colleague. Your friend is now a pool of goo, but you still need to answer its question. Such rowdiness. This is really poor dance etiquette, you know. Dance is an art. It's all about elegance. You can't make it work with strength and numbers. What? That didn't pierce it. This used to be a cluster of coral changed by the Seaborn, but now it's a wall. No one knows how thick it is. The warning from the city, the unusual movements of the Seaborn, the results of the abnormal surgery. We must get out of here and find out what's happening at Milliarium. The entrance is gone? No, it's us. We're losing our sense of direction. Capsization. Everything around us is hardening. The algal blanket, the unhatched eggs, even the waves. This entire nest will become a hardened shell for these creatures to store their nutrients. A shell without a single crack. There is no way the three of us can... Even worse, the stagnating environment is exacerbating our exhaustion. Captain Gladiia, shark? Behind you. Comes gently. Ew. Ew. Nest become whole, soon the sea. You kin, no harm. We many accept you. We many protect you. Here, much nutrient. Sleep, only sleep. The lethargy, which had therefore been suppressed by the fighting, begins to spread through every limb and organ. The thick and hard shell solidifies the waves. All is stagnant. The hunters vaguely sense their consciousness sinking, as though there is no bottom. The hunters hear the song, coming from right beside them, coming from inside them. Isharmla. The hardship we suffer is ever present. The life we thirst for is ever present. Over there, Skadi! Roaring. The faint roar comes from above. The thundering roar comes from beside. The stagnant seawater flows again. Is this that horse thing? The infinite ocean could be bound by a cocoon. Then, from where comes the force that can break even the cocoon? Land, moon, the scent of wheat, home far away. The force has become legend. It has shattered mountains, death, time, all that is tangible and intangible. He will not be bound. It's that thing, yeah, Resonante. The last night. You many alike. From where? The waves, you built them, you hardened them. Are you turning this to land? Will not allow. Contradiction. Wilderness, mountains, rivers, wheat fields. Land is just land. I seek, I reproach, I crush. The one who's with Ulpianus. Ew, a pleasure to see you again, Sir Knight. You not kin. Okay. Rawr to you too. Growl, Mr. Knight. Agitated twitches soft tentacles. I just like, when they have dialogue bits like that, I'm just picturing agitatedly twitches soft tentacles. You know, something to that effect. Excitedly flaps creased fins. Whee! Like, what the hell? Out of the way! Anya, Irene. I've been looking for you. Sorry, I received Consul Clementia's message. Dr. Calcit's group is headed to the port, but then we lost communications again. A little gnat flying around. We must return to the Eye of Iberia immediately, inform Lord Carmen, and help the Inquisition and the Penal Battalion form defense lines. No, we have to wait. Why? Most of the invading Seaborn are still under control near the beacon tower. If that unit can be ejected, then Milliarium is not yet lost. It can even organize a counterattack. But the cultists have sabotaged the linkage to prevent it from being jettisoned. Sea Patrol is already cleaning up the Seaborn in the area. We can't let these slip away either. I'll deal with them. As for whatever this linkage is you're talking about, will your engineering skills help? Yes. I can fix it. Good. You take the lead on that. I'll protect you and Avitus. We can return to land as soon as we're done. We work together at the Eye of Iberia. Let's pray we do just as well this time. But these Seaborn from the depths are different from the ones I've dealt with on land. I don't know how long I can hold them off. We've said all that needs to be said, Mr. Avitus. Come and help, if you still have the strength. All right. Hurry, Jordi. Hurry, Jordi Fontanarosa. You warned us through the beacon, and the strange knight who appeared at the lighthouse broke through the shell just as we were about to fall asleep. Is he part of your plan too, Ulpianus? The madman who's forgotten himself as an enemy of the sea, of everything abnormal that has become normal, and of himself. No one can control someone like that. We just happen to travel together. Are you the only one to make it back? They're on their way. Breaking through the nest shell and returning through the tides of Seaborn. Your speed was remarkable, but you're too late. You've seen what's happening to Milliarium. The many have exploited Aegir. And Milliarium will be the stepping stone for their invasion to the land. Of the land. And what precisely is happening here? The first thing I heard when I arrived at port is that the Abyssal Hunter, Ulpianus, has entered the control room of the beacon tower and killed the weapons technology advisor of the waterway program. And indeed, Blandus's body is right beside you. You're quiet. I assumed you'd feel more anguish over him. I take it you figured him out then, judging by your reaction. I doubt we have time to discuss a fallen traitor, even if he was once our closest comrade. That young man really did it. The linkage has been repaired. Trying to eject the beacon tower from Milliarium. A wise plan. It seems there's still hope for you. This place will sink to the ocean floor in a few minutes. Do you smell it? The stench of frenzy. The Seaborn above have noticed the changes to the tower. They're seizing the last opportunity to break the blockade and reach the other parts of Milliarium. Leave, Gladiia, now! Come back to Aegir, Ulpianus. This is your last chance. I still have things to clear up. If I give up now, all my efforts will have been for naught. The dreams and the end of the prehistoric civilization where the Seaborn came from, where they will go, the calamity before your eyes, the destruction beyond the skies. Being aware of them is not enough to turn the tides. I must learn more. If the Seaborn have memories, I must know every last detail of them. I'm not disputing that. We're back in the ocean, back in Aegir. We'll have many chances to approach the truth. That is your way, and I don't disapprove. But we need more approaches, more angles, in order to maximize our odds of victory. As you've said, I'm on another path now. Will you still try to stop me? Unless my eyes deceive me, the Seaborn I just killed had evolved specifically for you. That doesn't just mean they're trying to accept you. It means that you also... Correct. Then you know well what being inside a rapidly hatching nest would mean for you in your present state. Answer me, Aegir. How much of your mind is still your own? Is there even enough left for you to choose death? It's the only way for me to earn the trust of these scum. You're an outstanding hunter and a learned scientist. Are you really so arrogant to believe you can control your transformation through willpower alone? Accidents like the one during the auto-adaptive junction surgery will not happen every time. I can't simply watch you walk down the path of destruction. You're at your limit. We're both experts in violence. You'll die if we fought here and now. Is that so? Her lance draws a cold arc through the air. Ulpianus lets loose the chains, and his massive anchor flies at Gladiia, forcing her to leap up. And they're fighting. Sound of the building sinking drowns out the clash of metal. Seawater and Seaborn rush into the control room. In the last moments, Gladiia watches her erstwhile colleague stand before the darkened holographic sea chart, calmly waiting for the colorful waves to swallow him. Your description raises many questions. The feasibility of modifying a Farenmood into a biological ark by leveraging its habit of fostering an independent ecosystem inside its body had already been verified on Talos. The technology used by the project was mature, and their complex was deep in the mantle. The energy coming from the heart of the planet could support the facility's operation for almost an eternity. The project had more than sufficient power supply. Why then did the project deep beneath the ocean stagnate, as you put it, and go out of control, releasing innumerable Seaborn? The existence of Farenmoot was introverted by nature. Yet, he was to turn all things to nourishment for his survival. He was given meaning that did not belong to him, and a name that did not belong to him, Isharm-La. The changes they were put to were bolder, wilder, more ambitious, and more despairing. Their nature had long since exceeded the biological arc you speak of. For unknown reasons, however, their subsequent actions did not follow the program, meaning that the project did not proceed along the planned lines, but the new direction was also interrupted. Not entirely. They continued to foster new offspring within themselves, but the lives trapped within the Farenmoot were weak. They evolved too slowly. The new generation needed to be liberated. They needed to leave the Farenmoot's body, adapt to new environments, and obtain more nutrition. More nutrition to be fed back to the Farenmoot, so that his evolution may be accelerated. Under normal circumstances, the organisms nurtured within a Farenmoot are rarely able to venture beyond its body. Yet the aggression the Seaborn have demonstrated outside, the modification these Farenmoots have undergone, was indeed transformative. So it was you, Matus, who brought the Seaborn into the ocean and sowed the seeds of calamity. Seeds of calamity? No, the offspring were weak, and Aegir was strong. The seabed was governed by a self-regulating ecosystem. Offspring that devoured the algae fields would be discovered and destroyed before they could proliferate. But Aegir should not have been an obstacle. Aegir should have provided aid. Fortunately, my influence in human society was still useful. The Institute of Development Planning had already announced the deaths of the members of the 4th Observation Team of the Mantle Ruins at that time. You came back from the dead just to corrupt your countrymen? I held no forums, no debates, only a few sincere conversations. I helped some discover the problem, some discover the answer. It was enough that they were willing to give the Seaborn an opportunity. We many will find a way out eventually. The ecological disasters, the fallen cities, the citizens lost. How many of those were you responsible for? Was it you who cajoled Blandus and the cultists behind him to infiltrate the waterway program and alter our weapon systems? The nuclei within its skull spins. This is so-called Church of the Deep is not a formal organization, at least not in the sea. It needs no guidance, no leader. Not an organization? You mean you manipulated the people's thoughts and behaviors, only using their faith and tenets? How did you implant the ethereal concept of God into them, when such an absurd ideas were completely absent in Aegir? Civilization could never truly purge the idea of primal worship. It awaits at the end of science, ready to be awakened at a moment's notice. The Aegir you call cultists do not know the truth. Each of them acts according to their own thoughts and ideals. Each faces their own questions and dilemmas. Selfishness and altruism. Flaws and perfection. Nature and civilization. Logic and unreason. The differences in strength and the shackles of form. The limitations of ethics and the future of humanity. A manufactured truth and the beautiful cycle. You deceived your followers. Nuclei within its skull split. A scam? No. Primal worship originates from the survival instinct. Every thread of thought by every cultist ultimately leads to a single question: how to survive better. Faith? Tenets? No, only a desire for survival. You struggle for survival too, do you not? When you preach survival in Aegir, did you ever tell them whose survival you were talking about? The survival of life itself, just as the survival of civilization inevitably involves the destruction of many more. The survival of life inevitably involves the end of many. Many species have gone extinct due to the activity of the offspring. While they gathered nutrition for the Farenmut, I once recorded the number only to forget it. For the moment Isharmla awakened, it had become meaningless, insignificant number. The birth cries of the newborn, interwoven with the wailing of the dying. Songs brought silence. You knew the consequences of awakening the firstborn from the very beginning. A disaster for the entire ocean, for countless species. But you show no remorse whatsoever. You even gave up on recording the number of sacrifices. Was it because you'd gone numb after taking so many lives? But numbness is no excuse for your crimes, Martus. The consul steps forward. Her ceremonial sword is elegant, but the light reflecting off it is chilling, cutting off the sightline of the Seaborn gazing towards you. Madam Consul, the Sophon Theatrum, you designed the building that inspired so many of our people, myself included. But you stand here now, calmly explaining how you pushed Aegir into the abyss. I've seen images of you, a gentle, meditative observer who has the habit of constantly pushing his large glasses back up his nose. Look at you now. Even the richest of thoughts can only be expressed by the simplistic movements of your cells. You still have your glasses on your neck. Is it to reminisce about old friends whom you have no right to reminisce, or to mock the dead whom you have no right to mock? If you are Martus the Aegir, then I hereby pass judgment upon the fallen. If you are merely Seaborn, then we'll skip the formalities. Organelles surrounding the Seaborn expand and parry Clementia's attack. The ceremonial sword cuts into the shadow of the coral-shaped terminal. Gurgle. You cut off my control to the terminal. Breathless scorching fire. Breathes scorching fire. Howls furiously. Emergency transmission. This is the 10th attempt. The Seaborn have taken over the beacon tower. We cannot stop the conversion, but someone has activated the ejection protocol for that unit. Good job, whoever you are. Biosignatures keep soaring in number. The nests are becoming one. Incoming Seaborn tide. Scope is the entire continental shelf. Repeat, incoming Seaborn tide. Scope is the entire continental shelf. Emergency transmission. This is the 11th attempt. This is Consul Clementia. Citizens of Milliarium, heed me. Once the city unit containing the beacon tower has been fully ejected, the rest of the city shall break through the Seaborn encirclement and move towards dry land. Reactivate the linkage mechanism in the city's framework and perform a structural reorganization. Force fields at full power will stop the Seaborn tide from setting a single tentacle onto land. Legions 8 and 10, along with the Sea Patrol, send all operational warships out in turn to escort the city. May Aegir and our forefathers be with you. You were looking for an opportunity this whole time, Consul of Aegir. You're tough. We too, once. Everybody, ... Here's the coast. The lighthouse. Is it Aegir or the Seaborn who are trying to open up a waterway? The readings are off the charts. The endless Seaborn tide is approaching us at the very moment. This is beyond the lighthouse's computational capacity. Susentinat. I hear you. Look in front of you. Those deep colors between the sea and the sky are a tide of Seaborn. The wind grows quiet. There is no point in trying to estimate their numbers and scope now. Experience is better than data. I've seen the ocean like this before. Do you mean the profound silence? Leave the rest to the Penal Battalion and the Inquisitors. Report. 2 divisions are ready for action. Aegirian drone matrices are helping us fine-tune our defenses. The Aegir. Sir, the ocean. Something's rising from it. Is that an Aegirian city? There it is. Having sailed for thousands of miles, Milliarium rises to the surface of the ocean after casting out its heart. Every inch of it is being reformed, supported by its framework. An invisible force field extends towards the bottom of the sea and the highest reaches of the sky, forming a structure like a great wall. The structure breaks the surface of the ocean, creating a giant wave 100 meters tall. However, on the other side of the city, the real tide has arrived. It is a living wave, Seaborn, of various forms have fused with the ocean. The children of the sea are the sea itself. They have even changed the color of the water. The city from the depths and the roiling tides stretch out at the same time, colliding, embracing, and ripping at each other's throats. Nature never tires, yet civilization will not stop its footsteps. All is quiet. No wind dares tell of what it sees here and now.
Every incantation I wrote was utilized by you, with not a single word wasted. We make for an excellent team, Doctor.
All right, boss fight time. And then after this one, we have that crazy, enemy siege. It kind of goes by quick, but it is a pain. But anyways. Phew, that woman nearly got me. Cassia, I've been looking for you forever. Where'd you run off to earlier? Lucilla? Here she is. What are you doing here, child? The city unit framework needs servicing. It's a standard combat duty, but look at the beacon tower. What happened inside the city? The Seaborn have broken into Milliarium. That tower has become one of their nests. Leave this to me. You should get out of here, quick. It's too risky. I'll stay here with you. No need to... Are you hurt? Yes. It must have been the Seaborn as you came over. Wait, no. A scratch like this couldn't be left by a Seaborn. Did someone attack you? Wait, are you pulling out the safety valve? Hey, don't push it. It'll cut off the ground level self-diagnostic system, and the city framework will stop working. No, you know that way better than I do. You've been trying to do this all along, Cassia. Are you with the Church of the Deep? When the Sea Patrol investigated Tulia, you deliberately turned them against her. Don't tell me it was you who made her disappear. What's this you've put on my neck? Longbeard comb-tooth grass. Something made by a friend in charge of raising roadside coral. Don't move. You'll die if its bristles pierce your skin. Quite painfully, if I may add. Now, leave this place, child. Once it senses you've gone far enough, it'll fall off by itself. You want to leave, don't you? To be honest, before we became co-workers, I happened to see your assessment at the Institute of Development Planning. You care so much about that data scientist because you've never forgotten that evacuation of Milliarium, have you? You watched as the distant lights of its volcanic power station went out, surrounded in endless darkness, with only strange rumbles and rustling carried to you by the currents. The ocean as it once was. At that very moment, you were the closest to the ocean out of all of Milliarium. You, standing at the mezzanine of the dome, all alone. The IDP assessment was that there was too great a psychological burden, which is why they agreed to transfer you from the dome system to ground level. Your so-called fear of heights was just a little joke of yours. I'm afraid that you yourself don't even realize what lies deep within your heart. The remaining Seaborn will soon discover that this route is still open. You wouldn't want to meet them again. Go quickly before it's too late. Cassia grips the safety valve and continues to push it. She no longer looks at the joke-loving colleague by her side. The valve stops abruptly, releasing an ear-piercing shriek. She can push it no further. A pair of slender hands are pushing back from the other side. Lucilla. Huh. In any other situation, I'd definitely give you a piece of my mind, or stuff this whatever grass into my ink bottle, and tell you that this sort of practical joke is beneath you. But it's so bright. The light from where the tower sank in, from the dome above us, every Seaborn on the whole continental shelf is rushing towards Milliarium, right? Just what is behind those strangely colored lights? You're not wrong, Cassia. The Seaborn have eroded away at our lives. I've experienced the truth of that myself, and I'll never forget. I envy Tulia. Our experiences were so similar, but she was able to protect what she treasured all along. An amazing woman, really. And look at me. I escaped the dome and get back to the ground, and before you arrived, I was even thinking of escaping from here too. But where would I go? I can't let you break the framework, Cassia. I can't let the Seaborn get into any other Milliarium's unit, even if this grass thing kills me in the process. Because there's no going back for me. You really are strong, child. Tina's parents once told me that while the dome may be beautiful, this transparent structure is actually the true eye of the city. In fact, I've been asking myself recently, since we're at war right now, shouldn't the eye be on the lookout for danger? She forces herself to look ahead, the strange colors reflecting in her pupils. The roar of the tides and the whispering of the ocean's progeny resound in her ears. The young Aegir presses hard against the safety valve. She does not let go. She dares not let go. Only once a firm hand presses down on her shoulder, forcing her stiff muscles to relax, does she come back to her senses. You can let go now, Lucilla. Cassia, she... Temporarily paralyzed, I only managed to graze her with my shot, which is why the paralytic took so long to take effect. Sorry for putting you at risk. Ow. This is Consul Clementina. Citizens of Milliarium, heed me. Once the city unit containing the beacon tower has been fully ejected, the rest of the city shall break through the Seaborn encirclement and move towards dry land. Reactivate the linkage mechanism in the city's framework and perform a structural reorganization. Force fields at full power will stop the Seaborn tide from setting a single tentacle onto land. Legions 8 and 10, along with the Sea Patrol, send all operational warships out in turn to escort the city. It might be more appropriate if you were the one to handle the report regarding Cassia, Lucilla. I see. You should be heading straight to the port now. The mission just declared by the consul is more urgent. Cassie is already subdued. I'll take her to a doctor first, and then she should be punished. And if the city is going to undergo structural reorganization, the dome system will be the focal point of the force field to hold off the Seaborn. So they probably could use some extra hands up there. Maybe I should submit an urgent application to return to my old post. You're very brave, Lucilla. Oh, so you heard all that earlier. I did. Before you submit that application, though, you ought to see a doctor yourself. Longbeard comb-tooth grass does in fact contain a potent neurotoxin. Huh, right. I will. Ramming armor, check. Ship cannon mounts, check. Monitors, check. Camouflage coating, check. Propulsion system, check. All system diagnostics complete. Ready to launch. We'll be heading to the designated waters at full speed to block the Seaborn tide from the north. All weapon systems permission granted. No need to hold back. Don't let them get near Milliarium. We'll do everything we can. You're just part of the first sortie. We'll be sending the rest of our ships into battle after you. You're to escort Milliarium in shifts while it's reorganizing, serving as an extension of its Great Wall, and preventing the Seaborn from making landfall. So remember, the moment you get the order to change shifts, you must return to resupply immediately. Understood? Seaborn spotted! The remaining Seaborn in the city are attacking the port! Do not let them approach the warship docks! There's Skadi. Not content with ambushing us in their nest, they made a sneak attack on our city too? How annoying. Rapidly flaps fins. Wrapping around a statue. What have the Seaborn developed a taste for art? What, have the Seaborn developed a taste for art since entering the city? Said, the Sorrow Drinker is hardly a masterpiece, so I won't feel too bad when I've reduced it to rubble. Honestly, I think it's got more charm with an arm broken off. Thanks for the glowing review, Skadi. Are you feeling better now? Yeah, ever since we left the nest. Good to hear. It's the hunters! The Abyssal Hunters have safely returned to the city! Swordfish! Captain Gladiia, you've met... Yes, I saw him. We arrived at the right time. You must have heard Secunda's report over the emergency frequency, infiltrating Milliarium, breaking into the beacon tower's control room, murdering the weapons technology advisor of the waterway program, and finally, choosing to return to the ocean with the Seaborn. Ulpianus has not made it easy to clear him of suspicion. To capture him, or even execute him, is a duty we Abyssal Hunters must perform in the future. Captain Gladiia. But for the moment, our mission is to search for the remaining Seaborn scattered around the city units and put every last one of them to the sword. What must be said, I have said. You've avoided answering the questions at the heart of all this, Martis. The question at the heart? From your description, everything that transpired beneath the ruins, the crimes you committed and the consequences incurred, they all seem to stem from some mysterious inevitability. But the Martis I know was an eccentric yet gifted man. He was doubtful by nature, and not one for making arbitrary decisions. He would not have rashly discarded all reason and played at being the mystic. And he would have been even less inclined to reject his own existence, or ignore the worth of others. The choices I have made, the outcomes I have borne. Why do you care what the past Martis thought before he made his decision? His past choices have made you who you are now. Without understanding his reasoning, we cannot understand your existence. We should care, you would care about such trifles as well, Calcit. The nuclei within its skull spin. I understand now. Of course you would care. How could you not? The human that once ate the strange flesh experienced such struggle too. Was it a day, or perhaps several? In the depths of the ruins, time holds no measure. He feared, he doubted, he was compelled to think over every possibility. Where will the next crisis come from? When will it descend upon Terra? He used a lifetime of knowledge to attempt to decipher the undecipherable, to comprehend the incomprehensible. If there exists a life form that could survive the cosmos of Quietus, even if only as a singular being, how would it be born? Given infinite time, even the tiniest fin will be able to type out the ultimate truth of all things on a terminal using its tail. But time was our most important, our most precious resource. Admittedly, the Farenmut before him had foreseen our ruinous prospects, but could he and his progeny continue bearing the torch of life at all? Torch of life through it all. Supposing they could, before they instinctually iterate a way of overcoming that destruction in a limited time, how large a population and how efficient a fecundity would they require? Would they have to consume a patch of the sea, a whole planet, an entire star system? How many must die to support their lives? Supposing they could not, then where did the true answer lie? On the other side of the ocean? On the other side of the sky? Or perhaps it is somewhere out in the sea of stars, untouchable by Terran hands. Even if you spent your entire life simulating, you would not have been able to obtain a definite conclusion. The information you possessed was simply insufficient to calculate every possibility. Indeed, Calcit, but the past Martis had no choice but to try. Danger and possibility both hung above his head, while below his feet he found only an unseen tightrope. You could have informed your country from the start. Aegir would have helped you take on their burdens. The oldest records of the Academy of Science could verify the past you saw. The latest inventions of the Academy of Technology could model the future you envisioned. To cede the choice to others, is that a solution or an escape? The choices of the countless many against the choices of the few. Are they more accurate or more ambiguous? More earnest or more capricious? Suppose the means for life to continue is not civilization and the species that transcends ruin. is not humanity. If so, how would Aegir react? Enough, Martis! If you had thought of every possibility and foresaw the bitter price to pay, then your final decision is even more inexcusable. No, Aegir, I do not mean to defend my choices. What I wanted to say was that, at the time, there was an immature life form that interrupted my flights of fancy. Its tentacles were minute, and its body yet uncoordinated beneath its translucent membranes. Simple organs could be clearly seen. Born from Isharmla, it had unknowingly crawled past the cabin wall and was licking my ankle happily. Okay. Was it unaware of how swiftly its death would come? Did it not know that it was destined to become one of those insignificant dots among the millions of biosignatures on the monitor, being the progeny of a Farenmut? Could it have not seen the frightful vision its parents saw? Was it unaware that the destiny of its entire race was only to foretell and greet ruination? It just wriggled calmly towards its foreordained destruction, acting out of instinct only. As for us, there are countless possibilities to consider before making a decision, countless trade-offs to worry over. We find ourselves unable to ignore the costs of our decisions, or the results, or the value and meaning of those results. Humanity, Glub. Humanity is ever a prisoner of itself, ever one step behind fate. This is the essential difference between humanity and the Seaborn. This is why they are suited to bear the duty of continued existence. Excuse me. All of my homies hate the Seaborn. That's why you ate the strange flesh. If there is any life that can survive that future of quietus, no matter what form it takes, it is worth fighting for, no matter the cost. There is no justice here, only the path ahead. You should understand now why you must help we many evolve. You are not the first one the Doctor and I have seen who can barely qualify as human, but they all made their hard choices. No one had ever made a choice as horrifying as yours. Before you ate that flesh to become a Seaborn, you had already renounced thinking as a human does. From my perspective, that which you abandoned in your final moments, your doubts, misgivings, concerns, and struggles, were the most precious of treasures. They're treasures because they're unending. The Seaborn are swallowing Terra's life whole. You have not denied this, nor can you stop it. How are we to see them as our hope? What is your choice then, Calcit? To incubate Originium, the collapsed Stargate, the extinguished sarcophagi? Of the countless failed plans, is Originium the only one still in operation? Stones amidst the land and sky, ever silent. They are an incurable disease, harming life atop dry land, and yet they are a plan left by the prehistoric civilization, one expected to save all existence at the very end, in ways incomprehensible to the average person. Glub, the stairwell to survival can only be forged in the fires of destruction. No, such destruction must not happen. Much like Cerola Arbor, Originium at some point turned it to the annihilation you speak of. It changed in ways none can understand and none can reverse. And since it has changed, it must now be stopped. Whatever the case, using life to feed life, or ruin to beget ruin, would only serve to remove all meaning from survival. Calcit, or rather, AMA 10 from the records. You surprise me. You and I should have arrived at the same conclusion via different paths. No, you should have been even more rational, more decisive. I merely noticed a spark of the prehistoric civilization and took on its mantle. You, however, were born for this task. You held aloft its torch eons before I did. You have kept watch over their distant aspirations and legacies. You have carried your assigned mission. You witnessed changes. You bore loss. No human could have toiled for as long as you have. But now, has endless life rendered you feeble, Calcit, as it turned you human? Calcit has always been like this. Was it because of this one? Doctor, or rather, Oracle. Many facilities, many doors, your fingerprints, face, voice, within the cerulean cave, among the ruins, traces of you lie everywhere. You have visited the depths of the abyss before. Pity I don't remember. I recognized you. I have been speaking with Calcit until now only because it is more efficient. You must know the truth. Your visitation is sure to have meaning. Perhaps you are able to explain why the project is at a standstill, but your title is different now. Something has happened to you. Otherwise, Calcit would have held no doubts about what had happened to the plan. For several reasons, the Doctor is unable to remember many of the things back then. Memory loss. Club. Unsurprising. Losing one's memory is perhaps the most insignificant sacrifice you could make. Even the most resilient of life cannot withstand the ravages of tens of thousands of years. The fact that you still exist upon Terra is in itself a miracle. What I saw, what he saw, what they saw, those frightful visions are an absolute truth to you. You have lost your proud civilization and homeland. Heaven and earth have lost all color. Time and space have become vast prisons. You have been exiled by despair. You have stopped to rest upon Terra. You have not escaped your fated ruin. All men will perish, all things rendered meaningless. Despite this, you have not stopped fighting for hope. This planet has been forever marked by your resistance, even if those marks are mostly wreckages. I revere you and your cause, you, the people of a bygone age. If that cause involves today's Seaborn, Doctor, whether you accept it, deny it, or are undecided, it matters not to me. I am not hoping to win your understanding. I seek not your approval. You and your comrades had planted hope in the depths of the sea. A possibility, a spark. Perhaps you have forgotten it. Perhaps you have renounced it. Perhaps you now stand against it. Come what may, now, it is I who tends to this light, and I shall not see it extinguished. The rejection of our flame's kindler will not waver the many's resolution. Let's stop trying to prove ourselves. We shall return to the reality itself. We many sense the oncoming crisis. Perhaps the eye beyond the clouds has caught a glimpse of Terra's exceptionality, a sword hanging above all our heads. Terra is but a cage, trapping countless souls, unaware of the truth. Now there is a crack in the bars, a crisis, also an opportunity. Sight, sound, smell, touch, the rushing of the ocean waves. Within the cage that is Terra, the children of the sea are the most resilient race. Neither have they stopped evolving. Never have they stopped evolving. You cannot deny that we many have become the most magnificent of miracles. They will become the sparks in the wake of the Big Bang, the seeds from which the cosmos will blossom once more. They are the closest to success. Tell me, Calcit, Doctor, and the Aegir, do you now choose humanity, Originium, or the Seaborn? It is true that a crisis fast approaches. There are still many questions I am unable to answer, many truths I am unable to grasp. But this does not imply that life can be reduced to a hollow concept. They would simply erase its original meaning. You consider this a weakness, Martis. I consider it my drive, bestowed upon me by the endless life of mine. Life's worth should be determined by the living. The Seaborn are a calamity that must be stopped. On this, the Doctor and I will not change our positions, and neither will Rhodes Island. Without civilization, how can you speak of survival? Without survival, how can you speak of civilization? This ridiculous debate has gone on far enough, Martis. We have excised the diseased organ from Milliarium. Your kin in the city are being eliminated as we speak. You'll have plenty of time to reflect on what you've done and share the rest of your secrets with us in prison. You, Aegir, and that Bon monster. It is futile to contain me. You alone, your city alone, are not enough to slay me to slay Isharmla. The city has completed its reorganization. I can imagine how it will look as it bars our current, but we many will surpass it. There is no right or wrong here, so let your brief resistance provide our soundest proof. Next, I will rouse the slumbering firstborn. I will lead our kin to the moons. You will become a part of this magnificent cycle, Calcit. As will you, Doctor. No thanks, buddy. You can keep to yourself.
Maestro! Susantidad, I am here to make my report.
No need. Aegir has already informed us of what transpired beneath the waves. What of Calcit and the Doctor of Rhodes Island?
They're still in the city. We're connected, sir. This is
a real-time image of the sea surface, all thanks to Aegir's drone matrix projecting directly onto the Great Lighthouse's display. The Seaborn Tide and the Aegirian city, both approaching the land. They're less than 10 nautical miles away.
That stirring spray, those intertwined currents, are they all seaborn? Even the color of the seawater's changed. That's only the portion exposed to the city, to the surface, the tip of the iceberg. The Seaborn took advantage of Aegir's landfall. This entire sector of sea has become their nest.
Aegir's defensive perimeter. How long can the transformed city of theirs hold?
I don't know.
We have to come to a conclusion that Aegir's waterway plan... Have we come to a conclusion that Aegir's waterway program has failed?
All the Aegir and Milliarium are still fighting as hard as they can.
For the past 2 months, the Penal Battalion has requisitioned all operational vessels along Iberia's coast. They have been on standby in Grand Faro and are now ready to set sail. I will personally lead them to reinforce Aegir's defensive perimeter. Together, we will stem the Seaborn Tide. I'm afraid you won't have much time to rest, Irene.
It seems not. I saw the Inquisitors in formation at the base of the lighthouse earlier.
In the end, Iberia has found herself walking a tightrope with no margin for error. Survival or utter destruction. There are no other paths before us. Should Aegir's great wall fall, it will be up to us to educate the Seaborn on the significance of land and the price they must pay for desecrating it.
Huh. Maestro, Bonia Irene. You stay here, Geordie. This lighthouse will be our final bastion. The Penal Battalion's operations will depend on its signals. Do what you can to keep it going. No, not that. Look out the window. Light. Is that... lighthouse? But aren't we at the only operational eye of Iberia? What's going on? Why are we suddenly receiving so many identical signals? The lighthouses along the submerged coast, which have sat in silence for more than half a century, they've all lit up at once. Dios mío.
The silent technology of the islanders. What are you responding to? Ugh. Ulpianus hears the rumbling of the city reorganize above his head as he watches the lightless beacon tower slowly sinks into the depths. The building that once supported the grand aspirations of his people is now a Seaborn brood nest. The old and feeble will use their bodies as nutrients for the next generation. Their journeys will continue with their newborn kin. This is how the Seaborn have always been. They spare nothing in their devotion to their kin, and do their utmost to nurture them. The thought brings a brief moment of sickness to Ulpianus. The weight of the great anchor in his hand stretches to his shoulder. The moment he realizes that he will never be recognized or remembered, he feels more clear-headed than ever. He is yet unable to cut the disgusting connection between himself and the Seaborn, but he still has the strength to cut off the tide surging towards the city. Gladiia was right. Battling in the rapidly proliferating nest might only hasten his assimilations. All that awaits him is death, or worse. Ulpianus puts all his might into swinging his anchor. As if able to read his thoughts, the tiny hatchlings gracefully avoid his swing before calmly flickering past the grip of his anchor. He adjusts his breathing, recalculates, and swings once more. Faint mechanical cry. Mechanical cry? An immature life form, freshly hatched, flits across Ulpianus' vision. It flips over gracefully, revealing minute yet precise mechanical structures in its belly for just a moment. Then there are two, then three. The school of newborns linked together into a fine path of light, illuminating the chaotic waves. Adult Seaborn of all shapes crowd around them tightly, directing the currents and protecting them as they swim into the distance. What are you escorting, Seaborn? What is it you're protecting? Nutrients, life, kin, and you, Ulpianus. We many together as one. As a former consul of the Academy of Technology, one at the top of his field, Ulpianus is certain he is not mistaken. The steady flow of wondrous things streaming out of the beacon tower are nanomachines, once ensconced in there, a history cut off, a dream that died young. As an abyssal hunter, he trusts his sense of smell as much as he does his scientific intuition. Their scent is no different from the Seaborn. Those beacons, dead in the cradle nearly 200 years ago, now thrum with new life, incubated by the Seaborn. They now swim together towards the tidal confluence on the surface. Have you not yet given up on these games, Aegir, despite your own noose around your neck? Or is this also part of your plan? At first, there was only a mote of fluorescence, then a flowing line, and after that, an elegant lattice spreading out across the surface of the sea. Ooh. Fancy. Can we play Connect the Dots? There we go. Oh, gotta get all these ones now. Everywhere. All this flowing. It's like the Northern Lights, but of Seaborn! The Seaborn Lights. Oh. Billions of nanomachines sway alongside the children of the sea, bobbing up and down on the ocean waves. Their shimmer is minute yet clear, indistinct yet unwavering. The passage of light reflects about among the Seaborn's bodies. The currents connect every nest scattered across the seas. Seaborn gather together from every corner of the ocean for their excursion onto land, gracefully extending the paths of light. They intertwine with one another. The golden net they weave is like a galaxy strewn across the sea's surface, from Milliarium down into the deepest depths of the ocean. The waterway, the network of the ocean. One connecting land and sea, one transcending chaotic space and placid top, bound together with we many. Alrighty, here we go. Now this is a little bit weird of a fight. You can't attack the boss directly. He's gonna come up and float around here. We need to focus on this here.
I don't remember your faces after this one. Anyway, let's just get started.
We gotta get this thing powered up.
You saw nothing. Need speed to succeed.
Two, 23, 24. Let's put her out. Let's try this.
Mission briefing. I know it.
You know the plan. Move to intercept.
Yeah, they'll start to come up in here. See, we've got 82 here. No. Let's do this. Yeah, see, here he is.
For them, the bell tolls.
I'm prepared to begin.
Oh no! See, now we've done damage to him though already.
Revenant's battling again. Son of a cunt's got a filthy mouth.
Roar.
Okay, we're gonna
A
put her
word
here.
I've not heard in a long,
Which will cover all of them.
time.
And whoever's there.
Don't make
The Revenant's battling. Now, wait in line.
Flesh and bone bear weeds. Mounds and ruins bloom fields.
Okay, we've already took a huge chunk of them. Okay. I'm gonna put... we'll put Pookie there.
I hear the elegy. Morning star. The illumination of wisdom.
You done, buddy. You done, buddy. Bye-bye. That hurt him pretty badly. Now, we have this problem, though.
You saw nothing.
I'm gonna use Texas to kind of fend him off a little bit. Should do some damage. But she gone now.
I'll be careful.
I gotta be careful now because...
Revenant's battling, poor little guy. It's your unlucky day.
Okay,
Professor?
we're about to open up some fire here. Come on, Aya.
Temperature stable.
ready to move. And what purpose do you think?
I plant you into the soil to grow anew.
Okay, now he's regenerating, which is a little bit
Please. Trust
painful,
me.
but it's alright. We'll deal. So we got these things too, which is a bit of a pain, but it's alright. We got this. We got this.
I am Dublin.
I mean, thanks. That's alright. You can
The Revenant's battling.
you can activate skills for me.
I hear the elegy. Here we are. The reversal of finality.
Okay, this is where things start to get really strange.
They'll be sleeping with. And what purpose do you think your sacrifice will serve?
We're gonna use this.
He ran into me.
Okay.
Arrived at designated position.
Oh my. Monster.
If you're really
You activate.
clear skies for Qingyin,
This
rain
ain't
clouds
this
for
is going crappy. I don't like it. We can deal with the little ones.
How soon do you want them gone?
So you wrapped your brain. Who says there's always a countdown?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Still mulling things
Deacon
over,
Breaker.
Dr. Perfectionist? Still soaking yourself in the
Yeah,
past?
baby. You can kill yourselves. I have no problem with that. Like, you activated her to kill your own, like, thingy. I'm gonna do one of these.
Waiting for your convey. The curtain of destiny.
Ready to move. And what purpose do you think your sacrifice will serve?
Now things are getting wonky again.
Your lives are mine to protect.
Alright, he's gone. Boss is gone. So it's just them here.
Still mulling
Deacon,
things emotionless,
activate.
meaningless here.
Kill them all.
So you wrapped your poor little guy. It's your unlucky day.
Oh yeah, we got this.
Where do you wish to go? I wasn't supposed to. Flesh and bone bear weave this endless burn.
Don't you worry, pal. You're toast now. You're done. You're done. Let's go! I was kind of worried about this stage, and I am worried about the next one, but that gives me a little bit of a confidence boost. Let's go. Boss fight defeated. Now for the siege. There you are, Consul Clementia. We noticed an extremely unusual biosignature in the Sophon Theatrum. I'm glad you're unharmed. What's the status of the front line? Legions 8 and 10, alongside the Sea Patrol, have been sending out escort ships alternatively, as per your orders. The city's reorganization and the force fields are both complete. Milliarium is holding against the Seaborn tide. Inform every relevant researcher in the city. I need a minute-by-minute breakdown of the situation of the region of the sea. This region of the sea. We're still being far too passive, even with our contingency plan put into motion. Madam Consul, you may want to see what the drone matrix just sent back. These passages of light between the Seaborn waterways? Consul Clementia, we've re-established communication with our home territories. We just got a dispatch from the Institute of Scientific Development Planning. Any news from the hunters? 3 of them have returned to Milliarium. They're cleaning up the remaining Seaborn in the eastern city units. Contact Gladiia. Tell her to come meet us immediately. Yes, Madam Consul. Let's go. Calcid, Doctor, you need to deepen your contact with Aegir. I'll go with this captain to inform the hunters. Doctor? Seaborn left. That's Seaborn left and head to the east. Exchange a quick glance with Calcid. Madam Consul, the doctor still has some affairs to settle. Very well. The final battle for the waterway program has concluded with the Seaborn invasion of Milliarium. I require an explanation, Consul Clementia. Gladiia, were any of you harmed? I see you're here too, Calcid. We had a few unexpected encounters, but nothing we couldn't handle. I believe that, as an envoy of Iberia, Dr. Calcid also requires an explanation. I could use one myself, if we're being honest. There is someone who wishes to see you all. Little Handy. Little Handy moves to the center of the Pensivarium, its projection module emitting cold motes of light, slowly coalescing into the figure of an Aegir woman. She sports a smile under her golden hair. Her eyes are focused on everyone in the room, as though she has been waiting for, or perhaps observing them for a long time. Damn, she pretty. Consul Horatia. Why ever do you look so fatigued, my little Gladiia? Though the transmission efficiency of the waterway is much higher than I anticipated, I fear our simulacra are still unable to transmit my feelings. Otherwise, I'd stroke your hair and give you a nice big hug. No need. You know the risks of doing so. The changes on the sea surface, as well as the sudden appearance of the waterways. Was this your doing? Whether Aegir or Seaborn, we all find ourselves competing over time. The Seaborn must keep sending nutrients to every region of the sea they conquer. They wish to quickly transform the entire continental shelf into one great nest. Every issue has 2 sides. The disaster has also blessed us with bioenergy beyond measure. More than 2 centuries ago, the beacon launcher would have required a dozen cities' bioenergy systems to continually fabricate the nanomachines comprising the waterways. Now those nanomachines are being fostered by the Seaborn, who regard them as harmless kin. Using the data flow between the nanomachines as a medium, fleets and cities in the squeezed state could traverse the oceans in an instant. Though these nanomachines cannot take Aegir to the stars as our forebears imagined. They are more than enough to carve a path of life for civilization in its time of need. But that would mean that for the foreseeable future, Aegir will have no choice but to enter some kind of symbiosis with the Seaborn, using that scum as they in turn use us. Is this another of your so-called games? It is how we will break through this siege. The term waterway, the path ahead for Aegir, has never referred only to pure waters. You have always had your doubts about the program, and that is fine. But if that doubt serves only to put you in disarray, then it is useless. As Aegir is determined to open a waterway between sea and land, there is no question that it shall do so. I do not doubt your success, but perhaps there is still room for debate as to your methods. Dr. Calcit, I presume? Consul Horatia of the Institute of Scientific Development Planning. It's a pleasure. It pleases me that there are still those on dry land who have inherited the will of the prehistoric civilization. That Aegir is not alone in our duty. I am also glad to see you have begun our discussion with a firm diplomatic stance. Then, can I take it that you speak for all terrestrial civilizations, and that we can dispense with establishing diplomacy with them one by one? I too am glad to see an Aegir abandon its contentment and isolation and seek out cooperation with the land, but I regret to inform you, Madam Consul, that I do not represent it in its entirety. I merely understand it more than most. That said, I believe that what Aegir needs now is exactly a thorough understanding of the terrestrial civilizations. You and I both know that this waterway will not be used only for resisting the Seaborn. Aegir has its eyes on every unnatural existence in these lands. It is the only means for us to ascertain the intrinsic nature of Terra, and to eliminate the disasters hanging above our heads at the source. And I am sure you are aware of how such actions will be perceived by the terrestrial nations. Compared to the Seaborn, you would be seen as the more direct threat. We bear them no ill will. We need not stoop so low. The cruelest thing we could do is ignore the need of help of other tottering civilizations we meet on the road to settling this crisis. Damn. That's your mom, Gladiia? Dang. Anyways, of course, we will first help them learn how to walk. Bottlenecks of development, dilemmas of war, barriers of race, clashes of cultures, trends of ideology, changes in the structures of society. Over the millennia, Aegir has grown freely beneath the waves. It has faced every issue a country might face. We wish to share our experiences without reservation. And how would you do so? Using Milliarium as our main port, we would send talent and technology ashore to aid the Iberians in revitalizing their home. Farenmoots perceive the oncoming crisis far more keenly than humanity. That young one will not shelter Hiereg forever. We can aid that nation long trapped in snow in breaking through its developmental barriers in a few short years so that it may stand equal with its neighbors. We can aid the Sami in purging the demonic corruption permeating every inch of snow and restart the abandoned Stargate in the north. Ursus, Kasdal, if the flames of war rage, we will calm them. If there are any disputes, we will resolve them. Bolivar, Higashi, national unity is but a few fruitful negotiations away. Aegir will aid them in every predicament. Aegir will guide them towards the only goal they need. Under the leadership of Aegir, the land and sea will share a common future. Madam Consul, I do not doubt Aegir's sincerity, but I fear your proposals will not have the effect you expect. I am sure you have the means to bring Hiereg up to par with the core nations in the few years. But will dialogues between equals necessarily center around peace and development? Were Ursus's internal problems to be resolved, who's to say they would not bare their fangs once more and attack their neighbors to satisfy their regained appetite? Bolivar's many regimes might reach a consensus under Aegir's pressure, but how will you eradicate the profound, deliberately provoked hostility? Dr. Calcit, are you saying that Aegir's efforts to aid the terrestrial civilizations will only result in the opposite? I am saying that we can establish a more equal and profound cooperative relationship between us. With only your probes, you are unable to understand a civilization's needs. With only your experiences, you are unable to force a nation to skip over its path of development. Before you act, you must learn more. Otherwise, the winds you stir on land may become some great storm you cannot turn a blind eye to. We would be more than happy to hear your suggestions then, on the condition that you do not allow us to be held back by excessive caution and meaningless apprehension. Seeing the gulf between us, between the land and sea, I understand that we will need many more discussions before we can make progress. Once the waterway opens, I look forward to meeting you in the flesh, whether on land or in Aegir's home territories. I as well, Madam Consul. What about you, Gladiia? Do you agree with Dr. Calcit on this matter? The IDP need not question Rhodes Island's sincere wish for cooperation, nor Dr. Calcit's ability. I can vouch for both of those. And there are indeed essential differences between Aegir and the nations of the land. The land dwellers are short-sighted and clumsy, which makes them frail. Forcibly removing the differences between them would be no different from destroying them. It is truly necessary to show good faith. I've never seen Gladiia place so much trust in someone, Dr. Calcit. A feat to be sure. Perhaps she can be a bridge between our peoples and aid us in coming to a consensus. You will see that Aegir's plans are no more idle prater. Now, do allow me a moment alone with Consul Clementia.
Secunda, a fleet approaches from the land.
Iberia. Tell them via the drone matrix. This is Prefecta Secunda of the Milliarium Sea Patrol. It's me, Irene. We're currently in a head-on battle against the Seaborn. Don't come any closer. Your ships are too crude. I'm sorry, but they may get sucked into the eddies around Milliarium. You're saying that Iberia should just wait quietly on land? That I should just watch Milliarium get invaded by Seaborn and let the waterway transform into some kind of God knows what that even you, Aegir, never foresaw? We've already talked about this, Secunda. I'll be there in 5 minutes. All attacks.
If we are going to pick up the Iberians, we'll just have to open the access channels to the rear. Why stop attacking?
Look at the screen. The Academy of Technology just sent an urgent communique.
What do we do? Are those light-emitting nanomachine components for the waterway? But the Seaborn are still attacking the city. If they fused with the nanomachines and bear identical biosignatures, our weapons won't be able to locate and attack the Seaborn only. Don't tell me the legions want us to halt our covering fire and rely only on Milliarium's force fields to hold them back.
May as well slit our wrists and be done with it.
Scribbling on your device again. You know, sometimes I really admire your ability to keep a cool head.
Use the images from the drone matrix to render a 3D model. Rendering in progress. Perhaps the answer lies within the riddle itself. The biosignatures of the nanomachines and the Seaborn are identical, but we still know clearly that the nanomachines have formed the waterway. How?
We can see them. Each machine emits a particular light that's clearly visible.
Contact the Academy of Technology and tell them we have a proposal for modifying our weapons targeting systems.
But recalibrating 2 legions worth of auxiliary optical systems would take a lot of time.
What about using a lighthouse on land? Irene, it seems we arrived in the nick of time. A dozen or so lighthouses on the lost coastline have resumed operation. They're responding to your waterway. Combined, they should be enough to illuminate this entire patch of sea. Maybe they could serve as your auxiliary optical systems? I'm hardly an engineer, but these lighthouses were built with Aegirian technology. They should be compatible with your existing systems. That should cut the time needed in half. I'll let Consul Clementia know. Thank you, Irene. The Inquisition would be overjoyed to see these newly unclouded eyes become part of the combined defenses of land and sea. We're partners now, Secunda. Though maybe we should be thanking Breogan instead. Breogan. He truly dedicated himself to these lighthouses, a naval architect drifting into a foreign land, striving for the day when land and sea could work together. He foresaw calamity, but left no answers behind. It's a pity that Aegir saw him as an outsider, while Iberia never truly accepted him. He died alone and miserable, but now his plans will finally have the chance to become a reality. We acted far slower than he did. Indeed.
But it's not too late, or rather, now is precisely the time. Let's get started, Irene.
I'm still more used to you with your veil on, Horatia. Did you show off the scar below your ear to let Gladiia know that, as her mother, you will tolerate her setbacks just as you accept the blemish she left on your face? I'm not that a strict mother. With her left hand on the astrolabe, Horatia's right hand softly strokes her cheek below her right ear where a thin scar stretches upwards, nearly touching her eye. There is a smile on her face. But this is no blemish. It's beautiful. Trivial for a doctor to erase, but I refuse. My little Gladiia was just barely 5 at the time. She was taking her first career development assessment, and through this made her wishes rather clear. You don't know how glad I am to see her grown. She's certainly more suited for the life of a Legionnaire than in the Institute of Societal Programs or Institute of Scientific Development Planning like you expected. No matter, whatever field she joins, she is sure to excel. She was born for Aegir. I remember when she was 2. The Institute of Incubation said your disposition and the nature of your work made you ill-suited to raise her, and suggested you place her in their care. They said the same when I first decided to raise her myself. Saying that again 2 years later would not change my mind. But what truly pleased me was seeing young Gladiia rejected as well. I wouldn't say you have the best bond as mother and daughter, but you do have an odd kind of rapport. All right, that's enough, my little manta ray. I suspect we have more pressing matters to discuss than reminiscing about my daughter. Can you please not call me that? Very well, Consul Clementia. While we spoke, every city in the home territories has been conducting an unprecedented investigation into the Church of the Deep. As the core of R&D, Blandus was able to tamper with the Class 4 weapons, but his actions should absolutely have been detected at some point before they were put to use, meaning there are many behind him fanning the flames. All members of both academies who had anything to do with the weapon's design, manufacture, and maintenance are receiving the most thorough investigations possible. In response, the Church has brought their full influence to bear. By grasping at a single leaf, we may be able to pull out an entire rotten branch. And with Martis, no doubt will we be able to identify the Church's deepest roots. Aegir itself is undergoing a grand surgery. Surgery to cut out a festering tumor, isn't it? The waterway is open and the fallen who corrupt our nation have been revealed. Both are of great value as I see it. Are you trying to console me over the superficial waterway program's failure? To tell me that the sacrifices Milliarium made were not without meaning? Why do you insist on double negatives? They make you seem weak. There is no such thing as a superficial program in Aegir, Consul Clementia. If the IDP has approved a program, it means its planning and members are entrusted with the hopes of Aegir. We believed you are capable of using the Class 4 weapons to purify our waters and open the waterway. This has always been an official part of the program. Yet it failed. The theoretical success rate of oceanic purification was never high. However, the waterway program was a guaranteed success. Did I not promise you that before you set off? Trust in me. Trust in Aegir. I don't doubt that even if this city were to sink, consigning all 10,000 or so Aegir souls in it to the depths, the waterway would still open without a hitch. However, of all the possibilities you've accounted for, how many call for sacrifice? How I wish this meeting of ours never had to happen, Horatia. Is that why you've worked yourself to the bone, my little manta ray? I've read the reports on Milliarium. As consul for the entire city, you need not throw yourself into each and every little affair. The stimulants you abuse will not hide the exhaustion on your face. You really have thought of everything. As you always do, Horatia. All these losses and sacrifices, the falls and the betrayals, even Martis' secret. Are you not the least bit shaken? Speaking of Martis, you've reminded me of something. Of what? Martis regards himself as the gardener of sin. At times like these, he is wont to hide himself behind history. I can infer why he'd seek cooperation from Dr. Calcit. Or from the way you describe it. Those discussions quickly devolved into a vapid declaration of war. I find it difficult to imagine he would be satisfied with such a failure of negotiations. That is, unless he gains some other information. We will continue to track his whereabouts. Are you hiding something, my little manta ray? Clementia does not answer. She instead raises her head to look at Horatia face to face, with the simulacrum erasing the distance between them. She knows that Horatia will be able to see every detail of her expression, but the curve of Horatia's lips did not change. Her eyes are as gentle as ever, too. Clementia hopes that her own expression is as firm as hers. I am still the chief designer of warfare on the waterway program before you arrive, Horatia. Naturally. Your calculations may have arrived at the correct outcome, but I had to handle the situation in my own way. The Academy of Science and Academy of Technology each have their own duties. Yes, of course. I only hope that this obsession with self-reflection will not cause any complications. Your keen judgment must stay unclouded. I won't let that happen. Here, come a little closer. We still have some time. Calcit, Rhodes Island, Iberia, the Inquisition. He'll be busier than ever soon, so best not to keep frowning like that.
Okay, then. Rapidly convulses its gelatinous body, quizzically sways fine tentacles.
Trying to run? Smart. Your kin are behind this wall. A lot of them. It's the end of the road for you, though. What a pity. Is Sharmla?
Sharmla.
A sudden voice, tinged with surprise. Skadi turns, looking towards its source. A conical creature, extruding light, leaves the shadows of the buildings, shielding the two concerned Seaborn with its body.
Leave, kin. Through the eddy ahead, return to the sea.
You're so honestly gentle with them. Disgusting. I'm guessing you're the leader?
Our meeting was preordained, Sharmla.
Huh? You know me?
Skadi grips her sword tightly. Is Sharmla.
From Salviento to Grand Pharaoh, from the Saltifera to here. You scum have been watching me this whole time. What do you see your... What, do you see your god in me too? Are you here for family or revenge?
Nuclei within its skull rotate slightly. No, is Sharmla. Skadi, you are not nutrients to complete the cycle. You are its end. Our kin will not prey on you. On the contrary, they respect you, protect you. They await your transformation. They await your evolution.
Skadi looks at the being's eye. For whatever reason, this monster she has never seen before seems familiar. Very familiar. The bizarre organs surrounding the Seaborn disperse and surround her in turn. A shimmering umbilical cord connects her body with the Seaborn's. Skadi suddenly remembers when she faced the first Seaborn to talk in that cave below the church. She also experienced a moment of distraction back then. She had just been through a fierce battle, her blood boiling with frenzy, but now she feels herself uncontrollably responding to the Seaborn's touch. She curses herself for this moment of distraction. Why? A natural phenomenon, one I am also helpless to resist. This is the answer, Skadi. I ate of his flesh, and he lives within you. You are he, I am he. Our hearts connected, our blood interlinked. You need not waver, you need not doubt. The kin will not demand you walk with us. Sharmla chose you to continue his life. Perhaps this is the only way he will witness that what he must witness. Travel the road he must travel. What did he see in you? Perhaps, could it be, Skadi, that in that cold, dark future, in the cosmos where all things are doomed to fade away, that you are the one hope, the spark, the possibility? Are you the one who bears the final wishes of untold lives? Rhodes Island operator Skadi. Doctor? Skadi swings her sword, her grip never once relaxed. It slices through the umbilical cord. She stares coldly at the creature before her. Everyone's looking for you. Doctor, Skadi, you know each other. Is that so strange? She's one of my cute little operators. We'll go with that one. The nuclei within its chest pulse. This is the first time something stirs the peace within the Seaborn's chest. The oddly colored nuclei, along with the bizarre organs floating by their side, begin to wave as rhythmically as the tides. It does not approach, but both you and Skadi can sense a burst of emotion. Joy. No matter if you personally took part, Doctor, no matter if what took place in the Cerulean cave had aught to do with you, after countless years, you now stand alongside Sharmla. The connection between you and the kin cannot be erased. It is you who wrote this instinct into our memories. We depend on one another. The wheel of fate still turns. The surviving successors will one day meet and achieve the most improbable of possibilities. hardship we suffer is ever present. The life we thirst for is ever present. I await you at the end point of evolution, Doctor. Skadi, I await you both. Don't give chase, Skadi. I couldn't understand that thing at all. What was it talking about? Some kind of declaration of war. Didn't sound like that to me. You woke me up just now, Doctor. When I was face to face with that Seaborn, I remembered something I felt back in Salviento. Nothing good, I presume? I hated it. What good could come from a Seaborn rambling to a human? Don't worry. I know what happened. Good. I couldn't explain even if I wanted to. You don't seem surprised, though. I wonder Calcid asked you to come to underwater. That thing sounded like it'd been looking for you. It's a long story. So we were both being watched. Next time, I'll be by your side. Don't worry, Doctor. I'm Skadi. Abyssal Hunter Skadi. Rhodes Island Operator Skadi. Always have been. Doesn't matter if that thing comes looking for me or you. I'll cut its vocal cords before it can speak. I trust you, Skadi. The tide's coming in, outside these walls. Sounds like it won't stop for a long while. Little handy. At the street corner.
Monster.
Okay.
Collect tissue samples.
Well, Monster, do just that. Collect tissue samples. Alright. Now on to BP-9. Here we go. Time for the defense siege, basically. This is a little bit crazy.
Death has its own resting place.
Please, trust in me.
Bad luck. You ran into me. Moving to designated location.
Let me create a diversion.
Anything outside the plan?
We're gonna put that there.
Thus I speak.
So we put her there.
A word I've not heard in a long,
This is a
long
tough
time.
one. Hold for 15 seconds. Hold formation and stand your ground.
You saw nothing.
They'll be sleeping a valiant struggle.
I'll plant you into the soil to grow anew.
Let's begin.
Yep, here comes a bombardment.
Awaiting orders.
We're gonna put Pookie there to help charge these up. Do we also have this stuff to deal with? The problem with that is you gotta be careful because...
I hear the elegy. Waiting for your soul river.
Take care of them real quick.
Bad luck. You ran into me. Need speed to succeed.
Where do you wish to go? I am Dublin.
All the best.
No! We let one through! Not a good thing. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. I don't like that. We gotta take care of 184 of these things.
Sacrifice will serve.
Trash the mission briefing. I know what you want.
We're gonna have to try this again, but I want to see if I can beat it as it is.
So you racked your brain. Always so focused on the ground.
Sow the mountains when summer leaves the white dew. Seed the plains when equinox paints russet hue.
Your orders, Professor. This may be a little hot.
Then, the curtain of destiny.
Okay, 122. Hold for 30 seconds.
I'm prepared for this endless burn.
This hunt has dragged on for too long.
Okay, this one wasn't charged up yet, which makes this tougher. Hold for 15 more. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Poor little guy.
Boom. Okay, we're gonna have to go back and redo that. Simply because
Not my best
I'm not missing that one single one that skipped through. Before before we do the story, let's redo this. We got this. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
No need to make a scene.
You know.
Okay, first of all,
Move to intercept.
Texas here.
Bad luck. You ran into me.
Okay,
Anything
him
outside
there.
the plan? I'll judge
Them
for
there.
myself.
Her here.
Wow. Looks awfully dangerous. Rock and roll.
All right. Her there.
Trust in me.
So you wrapped your brain. Poor little guy. It's your unlucky day.
Okay, here we go. 15 seconds.
Spring breeze, timely rain. Now
There's
we
that.
sow the grain.
Apple pie.
I'm prepared, your lives. Now ignited. I plant you into the soil to grow anew.
Okay, we're gonna do it that way.
So you wrapped your brain. Poor
For 15.
little guy. It's your unlucky day. I'll be careful.
They'll be sleeping. This hunt has dragged on for too long.
No.
All right.
You saw nothing.
There it is.
Moving to
Okay,
designated
full
location.
Texas. All right, we're making progress here. We need to worry about that. We got this.
Come on, c'eri quasi, tesoro.
Waiting for your call.
Pass on your last words? No.
Where do you wish to go? I am Dublin.
Waiting for your call. Soul River, the ferry of the other side.
Always so focused on the ground. But have you forgotten to look up?
Sow the mountains when summer leaves.
Hold for 30, 29,
Seed the
28,
plains when equinox
27,
sees russet
26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop them bombs, baby. Ha ha ha. We got it perfect that time.
Good, good.
We lost
I had no
Wis'adel at the
idea
end
you
there.
were so clever
That's
and
all right.
learned.
We got it.
I was going to ask you help me make my town, but with such a good head on
Let's
your
go ahead and
shoulders,
get
I'm feeling a little bad now.
BP-ST-3 now and finish off the story. Here we go. Do you really mean to return? I've finally found out that man's whereabouts. No matter who he is or what Fulpa hole he's decided to hide himself in, he hurt our daughter. He needs to pay. Then let me come with you. I don't care if it's familiar standing in our way, cruel catastrophes, endless tides, or fire raining from the skies. We'll face them together. Would the shrine be all right without you? Relax. It's just killing a few people. It's long past time for those bastards to head to hell. Then it seems we must part once more. Heavens drink their fill, sky besought a Sakura, drunken clouds stumble. Was that a haiku? Haiku?
Wow. Huh. Was that a volleyball anime? Wow.
Was that a haiku? It's got a good rhythm, perfectly suited for reciting while swinging a sword.
My brain just wow, read haiku as haiku. Siracusa? The hell, man? Why are you crying? An assassin gets revenge for her daughter by crossing two big familiae, so she's forced to flee to a distant country. And many years later, she has to leave behind her gentle husband and re-enter the storm, all for her daughter's sake again. When I think about the people in real life who live like that, I can't help it. The way I see it, the movie should be from her point of view. I hope I don't gotta remind you that this film's supposed to be our familia's business card in the new city, and we're supposed to be reviewing it together. We gotta control how this city looks at our boss and our business. I thought you said it was great last time. Great. Then why'd that killer lady show up out of nowhere? Cruel catastrophes, endless tides, fire raining from the skies. Who wrote this crap? Sure, the Colombians poked a hole in the sky, but I ain't never heard of no fire raining down. When's this supposed to take place anyway? When are you gonna learn to have a bit of perspective? A cold-blooded killer putting down her blade for a peaceful tomorrow in Nova Volsani? All thanks to our familiar's influence. Can't get more with the times than that. But if you put it that way, the film's even more crap. But you're right, as long as it's to the Signora's liking. Hey, which bastard touched the switch? We under attack? No, look at the screen. Rhine Lab. Hey, nasty. Mr. Tin Man. We have a press conference starting soon, so please keep it quick. While you all were busy flinging all those things into the sky, I made a few rounds in Kasdal. You know how I feel about this. I do, young Banshee, I do. My verdict is that they feel about you much the same as you feel about them. Considering the many vile connections they have across Terra, if they do decide to get behind your project, there will be plenty of headaches for all involved. Thanks for the tip. Now, the press conference is about to begin. Don't be so hasty. Let me finish. Nasty Lunare, Director of Engineering at Rhine Lab. You know full well that the dream you were promised can be shared with more than just the Sarkas. The Maylander Foundation will pledge their full support towards you and your elf friend's brazen plan. We will decide on a date to discuss the details later. That includes future launch plans, where we hope to re-establish a more complete Galleria Stellaria. Yes, that's the one. Nasty? You on the phone? Once the conference is over, we'll need a meeting room, a coffee machine, and to clear an entire weekend off our schedule. That bad, huh? If only it were as simple as good or bad. But first, the conference. Is Silence here? I was hoping she'd stop by, but fat chance she's got the time. I put one of those Bird and Beast blind boxes from Kiarag on her desk, and sure she'd opened it after a week, but the little beastie was already buried under an avalanche of files in need of review. Guy who's supposed to be making a speech for us isn't here yet either. Well, he's still got 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, the press conference is about to begin. Please quiet down. I'll be happy to answer any and all relevant questions during the Q&A segment. Sounds like he's in a good mood. Let us first... Playing the same trick twice. Doesn't it get old? No,
Ferdinand's confused too. This wasn't part of his plan. This is... Ow. Challenges we face are far greater than ourselves or catastrophes. We must form a community under the leadership of Aegir to overcome them together. Repeat. An Aegir broadcast to all surface-dwelling peoples. We ask all of humanity to set aside your conflicts and prejudices and join the Aegir in building a bulwark together. The Matrix has broken through the blockade and swept past the sea. Essential information and calculation results are about to make landfall. The challenges we face are far greater than ourselves or catastrophes. We must form a community under the leadership of Aegir to overcome them together. Under the leadership of Aegir? You're still looking toward the land, Dr. Calcit. Like a mother, anxious about the child she had to leave behind. A child, is it? In one brief communication, you've delivered knowledge that countless others have given their lives for to no avail. Geographical data on the Foan hotlands and Infi icefield, and images from even further north of the continent. One way of showing goodwill, I suppose? To share knowledge is natural, while showing goodwill takes intention. I fail to see how the two are related. It was essential to thoroughly evaluate the extent of shock this would be to our terrestrial friends. Were these not urgent times, we really should have been more cautious. My concern is that their immediate dangers were more worthy of our attention. How much longer do you believe Milliarium can hold, Consul Clementia? With our fleets taking shifts, we can keep up continuous 24-hour covering fire for a week. There have been no major changes in the Seaborn's movements as the energy supply of the force field dries up. As the energy supplying the force field dries up, the stopping power of our weapons will also gradually dwindle. But this is not outside expectations. The city can hold for another half a month, no more. How long will it take reinforcements to arrive from the home territories? A week. Our countless nanomachines have established steady information flows. Compressed fleets and cities can speed through them, traversing the oceans in an instant. However, assembling our forces will still take time. A week. How quick? You need not hide your worries, Dr. Calcit. There are essential differences between the ways we and the Landwalkers think. Simple sincerity is insufficient for reaching effective bilateral cooperation. On the one hand, we hope that the reinforcements will arrive as soon as possible. On the other, you worry that the subsequent contact and communications will be outside your control. You even worry that Skadi and the Doctor have deviated from your plans. You already know of Skadi's secret then. My little handy happened to record a chance meeting between Skadi, the Doctor, and Martis on a street corner. Compared to discovering the secrets of their identities, controlling who knows what is much more difficult. An abyssal hunter with the firstborn within her, and a predecessor scientist who witnessed the rise and fall of prehistoric civilization in person. They're both great import to Aegir. Based on simple evolutionary logic, the firstborn would not have chosen to entrust the future of its kin to its killer. We still have no idea how the Seaborn will become the final answer to resisting ruination. Even with missing memories, the Doctor still bears that mission. How will this so-called death of all things come about? And what can Terra do about it? We must find out. Skadi and the Doctor are, without a doubt, the key to Aegir's solving of the riddles. Skadi will face her blood. The Doctor's duty will be fulfilled. But it should be their choice, not somebody else's scheme. I fear that once Aegir learns of their identities, it will devise ways to exploit them. Horatia asked me earlier if I was hiding something from her. And how did you answer, Madam Consul? No need to worry. She does not know yet. You truly treasure Skadi and the Doctor, don't you? Even when confronted with a disaster threatening to wipe out civilization, you still wish to respect their choices. But this is no time for us to hesitate. I can't hide this from Horatia forever. I presume you have a plan, then, considering you're hiding this from her at all. I've reached an agreement with Gladiia. We will take over all Abyssal Hunter-related research in the name of the Legions and ensure that the Hunters will not be put in circumstances depriving them of a choice. As for the Doctor and myself, we hope to go deeper into the Aegir home territories and solve these mysteries by ourselves. I fear that we will need an Aegir guide. Well then, it would be my pleasure. Cassia will receive the punishment she deserves. Milliarium's incubation chamber has been moved to safety, so as long as the city doesn't fall, the child she left behind will be born safely. They will be raised in the Institute of Incubation. I know what you're thinking. The fate of a Church of the Deep cultist isn't worth calling you over for. Do you still think that everything will end in ruin, Mr. Hevetus? I still believe in history. Once written, it can never be changed. Even a tragic victory is destined to be another page in its annals. I'm glad to hear you say that. Let's get down to business, Jordy. I met with Consul Clementia. I confessed everything. What I was thinking, what I did, what I saw but never spoke of. I accepted the tribunal's interrogation, but they did not believe I deserved to be labeled fallen. I had stood at the precipice and looked around, perhaps even stuck a toe over the edge, but no more than that. Their final verdict was that I could keep my post and continue to stay in Milliarium. It sounds like you have other plans, though. They may see it as repentance, but I cannot forget the outcome of my silence and inaction. I'm not arrogant enough to believe I could have effected an entire military campaign on my own, but what if I had reported Kessia's unusual behavior? This could have played out very differently, and so I plan to leave Milliarium. To where? The Aegirian home territories? Somewhere even further than that. Even further? Now that the waterway is opened, Aegir is about to restart the work interrupted by the Seaborn. Expeditionary fleets will once more explore the far side of Terra, but this time we have changed the course of our voyage. We might set off from that mining nation of Rimbiliton and try to touch the edge of the sea. Better I die on some expedition into the unknown than wallow here in sorrow, self-reproach, and despair until it saps me of all my strength. There, whether we go forwards or downwards, no one knows what awaits us. We will be like Breogan in times of yore, pushing back against the darkness of ignorance. You mean? You caught on, Jordi Fontanarosa. Yes, I'm inviting you to join us on this distant voyage. I'm not the only one who desires this. You said earlier that I never answered your questions properly. You were right, and I should apologize, but there was something I truly wished to tell you back then. We have no need to prove our place. Even if the vestiges of the past have worn you down to nothing, you can still tie your future to Aegir. I don't know what to say. This is all a bit much. Don't worry. Aegir respects the choices of all its citizens. We fare well on your carefully considered departure. We await your eventual return, no matter how long it may take. Maestro, today's maintenance work on the lighthouse should be finished. Is there some sort of issue with the others? No, I'm just here to watch the sea, like you. I heard from the other Inquisitors that you kept making time to come to the coast, even while we were in Milliarium. Iberia threw a stone into the sea. We were worried it would foment an unstoppable wave. But what was even more worrying was that it might sink in silence with nary a whisper. Fortunately, the stone stirred up the ripples we hoped for. And Iberia was able to see the circumstances beneath the waves, and in doing so make up its mind. You performed your duties as envoy admirably. If there was ever a time in your life to stand tall with your head held high, now is that time. Yes, sir. Maestro, I've been thinking about returning to Grand Faro, going back to the chapel, where I used to live with Uncle Tiago. You should have seen Tiago one last time. We live in an age of regrets. If you see the Inquisition as the source of those regrets, I cannot refute you. If you have things to pack, Irene can help you. What? No, that's not what I meant. I'm really just thinking of going back to have a look. In other words, you haven't yet made up your mind. Yeah. You told me earlier that the Inquisition letting me return to Aegir was a test. Am I not? On the contrary, Jordy, do not mistake bewilderment for momentary hesitation. You have lifted your lantern and clearly seen the fork in the road before you. You are merely weighing your choices before choosing which path to follow. The sea fog is thick. Both routes seem slick with mud. But you are not
the one to be criticized for this. Jordi Fontanarosa. If you choose to follow that Aegirian scholar, into unknown waters, the Inquisition will not stop you. The strength of the waves crashing against the shore will not change because a single clerk leaves or stays. If you choose to stay ashore in Iberia, you will carry responsibilities that are more exhausting than you are used to, but also much more important. Those are the expectations Iberia has for you. Choice is yours.
I understand, Maestro.
By the by, Irene mentioned that you've been suffering from severe insomnia these past few days. How was last night?
It rained rather heavily around midnight, without a star in the sky. By the crack of dawn, there had been about 2 or 3 urgent situations I had to handle. But overall, a rather peaceful night, all things considered. Do the Seaborn dream? Dreams are comprised of thoughts or emotions flaring up as they dissipate. But now I am nothing more than instinct. This scene again. Following the unfathomable passages in the ruins, at the very end, a great beast gently sticks a tentacle to the bulkhead. What is it waiting for, perhaps? I walk forward, passing through the shadow of the cerulean tree, until I am before him. I extend a hand. Known language. Warning. Deep sleep procedures will commence in 3 minutes. Real-time translation programs will soon shut down. Please provide all necessary instructions as soon as possible. Isharmla. Our shared name, our shared decision. We trust one another. We feel as one, do we not? I will watch over you until the end of my days. No, this person isn't me. This isn't my dream. It's Isharmla's memories. You have followed me through many nests, Abyssal Hunter. The reinforcements from the home territories are about to arrive. The confrontation between your kin and Aegir's legions will soon intensify. You would choose this moment to depart. Your front line is already advanced onto land, Seaborn. Why choose to turn back and return to the Abyss? How is this conflict connected to the reawakening of the Firstborn? Ooh, vicious looking. You are an astute man, Hunter. I merely discovered your existence before the others. You left evidence in Isharmla's body. You were the Church of the Deep's founder. You sought refuge in the shadows to seek traces of me. Only a shadow may merge with a shadow. A most interesting hunter. What do you wish to know? Everything. I know you, Hunter. You are Skadi's comrade. Has Aegir refused your everything? This nation has refused too much. So much so that it's dug its own grave. Your schemes are far too obvious. I never intended to hide them. I fell in order to obtain answers. The nuclei within its skull converge. I can tell you all you've longed to know, Hunter. Regarding my next actions, regarding the sealed passages in the ruins embedded in Terra's mantle, regarding how the other Firstborns will awaken, regarding Aegir, regarding the next doom to greet Terra. We kin are selfless, we kin are devoted, we kin wish to share everything. The only requirement is that you become one with we many. Ulpianus meets the Seaborn's gaze. It has no face, but he can tell that it is observing him. Through its transparent membranes, past the faintly leaping nuclei, Ulpianus sees his own eyes. You said you fell earlier. No, Hunter, the conjoining of flesh is not enough. Turn endurance to acceptance. Turn humiliation to elation. You must trust the kin. Trust your own instincts. You must take up a duty far beyond imagination, the duty of we many. Perhaps you will learn the full truth in our embrace, but when the time comes, you will be unwilling to bring it back to Aegir, just as I could not. The Seaborn passes Ulpianus, swimming ever deeper into the nest. Its back quickly disappears from view, leaving only the nest before him in full bloom. The contaminated coral shimmers in its multitudes. Countless fantastical life forms flit between them, using its glimmer to dispel the darkness of the depths. They grow, they form tides, but Ulpianus ignores them. His gaze passes over a golden sea, over every scar, every inch of flesh, every cell, every chaotic waking dream. It falls somewhere he cannot see, the deepest recesses of his own self. Ulpianus follows along. Well, is that not interesting? Fortified defense. Well, that's the EX stuff. And that we are not going into. So, we've got all that stuff. Let's go ahead and we can get some more money. We got some more money. Alright, that's it. That's all I need out of there. I'm not too worried about the tokens because the thing with the tokens is you can always get more tokens from the store. The certificate stuff. Boy, I haven't exchanged this stuff in a while. Need to do that. But, yeah, you can always get more the tokens in places like this. So, yeah. Is what it is. But I will deal with that another time. First, before we wrap it up, let's go over here. Just for fun, how many of these do I have? I have 4. Let's run those 4.
Trainee operator from Blackstone.
And then
Hopcar from Operation Reserve Team A6 reporting in. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I am Ansel, a medical intern.
Ansel?
I'll be assisting with surgery and internal medicine.
We'll wrap it up with a couple of polls here. Pine Cone. Because I still haven't gotten Lucilla yet either. I know she's part of that, I believe. Yeah, I haven't gotten Lucilla. So, let's go ahead and do a tenor here. 6. What could we have here? We have a 6 down there. We have a 5 next. So here's Jessica.
Doctor, nice to meet you. I'm
Oh, no, that's a 3. That's
operator from Gladiia.
Yeah, white. Never mind. Duh.
The name's
There's a
Rhodes.
4.
Nice to meet you. Oh, here's your ID card. 君が訓練場のボス？ドクターって君の名前？でも君丈夫そうに見えないぞ。
Come on. 5 is Pine Cone.
今日からロドスで働く。
6.
はじめま
Click.
して。カシャのチャンネルへようこそ。
Number 7. What do we get?
We meet again.
Anus.
This method of contact that you are imposing upon me, is it Rhodes Island's standard treatment? Or perhaps it is you, trying to confirm if my sense of self has already begun to change. Ulpianus, Abyssal Hunter.
Interesting voice.
Nice to meet you, Doctor.
Alright. We got Jessica twice, 2 perfumers. That's funny. Alright, well we got Ulpianus, which is alright. I do know that Lucilla's supposed to go into standard after, so we get her when we get her. But that's interesting. I did get Ulpianus. I don't know how much I'll build him. He is a guard, a crusher guard. Melee, DPS survival. Okay. Interesting. I'll have to look into him a little bit more. But for now,
she's afraid of me.
It's time to wrap it up.
I don't want to do anything.
All right, so what an interesting end to the story that obviously leaves a lot of things open. And we see everything from Milliarium surfacing at the coast of Iberia. And they're obviously fighting against the waves of the Seaborn. But there was also mention there that from Ulpianus there that the
the Seaborn have made coastline. They've made the coast. Now, I question some things here. Basically, is this before the events of like chapter 14, the war with the Sarkaz and stuff like that? Or is this after that? Does Doctor have some of his predetermined knowledge? Like, because he didn't really react when the Seaborn called him Oracle. He didn't react when Martis was referring to some of those things. Calcit didn't freak out and panic on him, kind of be like, no, wait, don't do that, Doctor. You don't want to find out that yet, you know, trying to hold him back the way she was for a while there. So it kind of makes me wonder when this exactly takes place. However, obviously this is like one of the branching directions, because like if you think about it, this is the main path and whatnot, so to speak. But what I mean by that is there's like the alternate timelines, like with Skadi the Corrupting Heart, she's not real, so to speak. Like I guess she's considered a non-canon entity because she is possessed and corrupted by Isharmla or whatever, supposedly. Like I don't really know the whole deal behind that, but my understanding is that she is like alternate timeline thing. So obviously, like, there is the connection still there in this timeline, but it's not taking over her in that same way. But the other Seaborn and things like that recognize her as kin, just like they do the other Abyssal Hunters, but they recognize her more specifically because of her connection with the Firstborn. But then they recognize Ulpianus a lot, which is really, really weird. Now, the thing with this is you come to learn that main Seaborn entity there was Martis, the historical figure of the Aegir, who did a lot of exploring and things like that. Knowledge, created that Sophon Theatrum, and helped to facilitate a lot of the Aegirian ways and things like that. But obviously went on a different path there. Joined with the Seaborn, became one, assimilated. And the thing is, now we're in the midst of this, dealing with this issue where the Seaborn are at the surface, and so is Milliarium. Now, the other Aegirian home territories are on their way. They're sending reinforcements. There's basically a big war going on at the surface, and the Seaborn are starting to make land. So it makes you wonder how Iberian defenses are going to hold up, what the deal is with that. Like, are they seeking to basically eradicate the Seaborn at the surface? Why did that Seaborn, Martis, why did that Seaborn and others return to the Abyss? What's the deal with all that going on? And then you start to think about, well, the broadcast that was made by Aegir to ask for cooperation and help, and to allow Aegir to help on land. And there's all the talk of this great calamity and things coming. Now, we've had many, many teases towards that. And we've had teases towards the eye in the sky and all this other stuff. We're getting teases towards these observers and all this other stuff that's being talked about by different areas and different locations, not just the Seaborn, but the prophecy that was talked about in from the Sancta, from Evangelista, talking about that in Laterano, and trying to initiate cooperation with Laterano and Lytanian and everybody else. And there's just this big attempt at connecting and unifying, but I tend to err on the side of caution with that, just like with what Calcit said, with the fact that if not done right, will there ever really be change? Because who's to say that one country may not reform and you know, strengthen itself, become better, but then turn around and gain that hunger again? Just, she used Ursus, for example, you know, decide to attack a neighboring nation, create war, create chaos, more death, more corruption, you know. And in a way, the first thing that came to mind when Aegir talked about that, when Horatia made that announcement, or, well, her initial, like, description of the idea to Consul Clementia and Calcit and Gladiia, she had that idea, and it was like, my first thought was like, oh shit, Aegir's trying to take over, or they may want to go under this guise of, we want to unify, we want to help everybody, but it kind of sounds like they're trying to be one controlling superpower, and I don't like the sounds of that, because that obviously is not going to work out in the end either. That takes away independence and a lot of other things. But you got Doctor's connection, the fact that the Seaborn knew Doctor. He mentioned traces of Doctor being all over that underground cavern near the cerulean tree and Cerula Arbor and stuff like that. So that's a deeper place to explore for Doctor, to learn more and so much more, to open up more of his memories and things like that. More information and things about the prehistoric civilization. But again, now you've got this assault from the Seaborn up on the surface. Will Aegir and Iberia and whoever else wipe them out? Will that be the end? I don't think so. Because obviously there's something else going on down in the deep, and that one went back into the abyss. Ulpianus follows it. Now, here's the big question. What's the deal with Ulpianus? It's obvious that he doesn't trust Aegir. He has his issues there. But is he... In a way, he kind of gives me like anti-hero vibes. Like he's not quite a villain or anything, but he's not really necessarily a good guy. Like, of course, he's one of the Abyssal Hunters, the captain, or one of the captains, or whatever. But he doesn't seem to be interested in being part of any of that anymore. He has this connection now with the Seaborn, and he wants to explore it, and he wants to understand, and I don't know if he realizes what he's getting into. Because even with that one telling him that by the time you learn, you're not going to be able to take it back to Aegir the way you think you are. It kind of makes you wonder if he's willing to throw away what's left of his humanity to try and stop this, or just to learn, to unify, to become one. I don't know. I don't really know what his goal is. I don't really understand what's going on with him. But there's a lot of holes opened here. There's a lot of different things. And then, of course, you look at the fact that they're talking, the Seaborn were talking about going to space, leaving the waters, leaving the ocean, leaving the land of Terra, and going through the hole and out into space. Why do they want to go to space? Never-ending expansion. But will they be able to survive? Who knows? There's a lot of strange stuff that this opens up. And it kind of makes me question how close we're getting to dealing with whatever said potential calamity is. Whatever this future, this doom, this certain doom that is being talked about, that's going to befall all of Terra. Who knows what's going to happen? But we'll certainly be there to find out when they do finally decide to tell that story. I have a feeling we got a few chapters and stuff to get through before we get to that, and a few more events before we get to anything like that. I don't think that this is going to be something that's going to be a be-all, end-all for the story, but I think this is also going to shoehorn into more of the, like a deeper exploration as the story continues for things like the Farenmotes, because obviously you have Isharmla, but then you have like the Sui, and there's different Farenmotes and things like that, but there's also this hinting towards the observers and these godlike beings and stuff that we don't know what we're getting into with that. So this is going to be one of those things where we're going to lead up into dealing with maybe this calamity, but that's going to shoehorn into more of that type of stuff, this deeper, higher powered beings and like just exploration of those kind of things and understanding of those stories. So it is what it is, but Path of Life was certainly an intriguing direction of where life may be leading for a lot of different civilizations. And ultimately, the choice was made to support humanity first, which I certainly align with in that respect. Because I align with our heroes. Come on, I align with Calcit, I align with Doctor, and I align with humanity's survival. and the future of Terra. So it is what it is. But I hope you guys enjoyed this playthrough of Path of Life and this little finale here, the main story for it. And I hope you look forward to more that I do in the future with these events and with these playthroughs and with the main story. I'm going to be taking some time to do the main story here soon, now that I've wrapped this up. And we've got some other events and things and stuff coming up soon that I want to delve into, but I've got time in between that I can get main chapter stuff recorded, which will be great. With that being said, though, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to watch my videos, to hang out here on the channel. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you all. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you haven't subscribed before, it's going to help me grow and to continue to bring more stuff like this to you and to help me reach my goals. So then, guys, that's it for this one, and I will see you next time.